astronauts, this is Brandy and welcome back to Astro-Tarot-Research. I polled you astronauts and you voted. This week we have the complete story of your soulmate. That's right, we're going to get into who is your soulmate, what's going on in their life, what will your connection be like. But before we get started, I do want to remind you to like, to comment, and to subscribe. Become an astronaut. I will really appreciate it. And if you would love to ask me a question, then all you have to do is head on over to my lives. I go live either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday every week. And the time of that live will be posted on the community tab along with the polls. So you got to check that community tab out. It is happening. It's popping. There's a lot going on there. Any links to social media can be found below, and we're just going to get into these piles. We have pile number 1, pile number 2, pile number 3, pile number 4, and pile number 5. So let's not waste any more time and just sit back, relax, and choose. Hey pal, number 1, let's get started on the complete story of your soulmate. We're going to pull some cards, but I'm going to roll the Astro dice as well. So we have the 7 of raindrops, choices. We have the star card here. We have the high priestess. We have the 2 of swords. We have the Knight of Wands, and we have Venus and, sorry, we have Sun and Pluto. Don't know why I said Venus. Sun and Pluto. I'm making sure that that is all set up for you, because it gets a little strange looking on camera. All right. You can look over these cards while I roll this dice here, so we can get a full picture of what's going on here with this complete story. Let's roll this one again. That is K2. All right. So we have K2 in Taurus and the 10th house. All right. Can you even see that? I'll put it a little bit closer on camera for you astronauts. Right, this is pretty interesting here, because when you have K2 in the 10th house, what it does is it does several things. First of all, we need to understand what K2 is. K2 is the South Node. South Node is the absence of the material world. It is ascending to a higher power. It is, I am not my body. I am my spirit. I am my soul. I am not connected to the things of this world. I am here to destroy in order to create. Kind of like how leashes will latch on to certain animals, and then those animals will be destroyed by the leeches, thus allowing our ecosystem to form and continue. Something like earthworms, because if leeches weren't there, we'd be overpopulated with earthworms, and obviously that would destroy our ecosystem. So that's a very K2-like energy. I'm here to destroy in order to create, in order to have balance. So when we have K2 in the 10th house, this sort of destructive energy pulling away from the material world. What is our material world when it comes to the 10th house? It is your career. It is your job. It is your work. So when K2 is in the 10th house, you may not have a job. You may not have a career. And in this case, when we have going on here, it's not to say that this person you're dating that's coming in is unemployed. More than likely, it's more so like they may not have a traditional way of making money. It's actually interesting because I remember when K2 went into my 10th house, I actually was unemployed for a certain, one of the longest periods I've ever been unemployed. Like, it was wild. And it came out of nowhere. It was a very unusual circumstance. But I will say, weirdly enough, like K2 energy, I will say, like, I was doing fine financially, if that makes sense. So I didn't have to worry about money. I shouldn't say I made money, because I didn't really make money. It was more like I didn't have an issue with money. Like, money wasn't an issue that year, even though I was unemployed. So what that makes me feel like the person that you're coming in with, they don't really have a lot of money concerns. They have a lot of natural luck when it comes to making money, or when money is coming into their life. And it's also interesting that we got Taurus, which also connects to money and wealth and saving. So it's like they almost have like this guardian angel over them, watching them when it comes to their money and their income and their finances and their jobs. So like I said, they could have either A, an unusual career path, or two, it's like they may not have to worry about money. That just may be the case, you know. Sometimes you have K2 people who are, you know, Nepo babies, or they come from a rich family, or they get kind of like thrown into circumstances where money just happens for them. Like it just comes to them when they need it, where they feel like they hit that rock bottom. Money just comes for them. I don't know what that is, but that's very K2 like energy. And so that's the feeling that happens with this person that you're with, where it feels like money's just attracted to them. They don't worry about it too much. They're just like, it'll happen when it happens. And when I see this Sun and Pluto energy, that's very much a similar vibe here, actually. Because when it's similar vibe in terms of like amassing wealth, amassing money. Sun and Pluto energy is like a directed force. Pluto connects to wealth and finances, and Sun is like, how can I direct my energy and force into creating wealth and finances? So obviously the best way to create wealth and finances is having multiple streams of income. That's the second thing I was going to go into with K2 in the second house. K2 in the second house, K2 in any house represents two things, meaning it represents a split. So when K2 comes into your second house, your 10th house, it can represent having multiple streams of income, having more than one job, having a part-time job, hence split hours, having, being like a student, being like, working part-time, doing an internship, going to school. It's like your time is split in terms of your devotions or your career avenues. Same thing goes with your money. Your money is split. I invest in here, I invest in there, I invest in here, I invest in there. I go to a job, I have a 401k. I have a job, I'm in the stock market for individual stocks. I invest in real estate, and I also invest, I'm an angel backer, angel capitalist. I'm thinking, is that what it's called? Angel investor. I'm an angel investor, and I invest in real estate. Like, it's like I make my money more than one way. I am a content creator, and I have a full-time job. That's two avenues, two streams of income. So this person is not traditional. They don't just simply work a 9-to-5 and go home and cash their check. They have those multiple streams. Don't know why that's important, but it came up first, so we're going to honor that. Second thing is, you become more spiritual with these placements. And I was going to go back to the Sun and Pluto. I get distracted, guys. There's a lot of messaging going on here. Second thing here, when we have this Sun and Pluto energy, is that like I'm talking to people who have a lot of power. I'm on the business side of things. I'm having conversations at a high level. I'm talking to people of wealth. I'm talking to people who are knowledgeable. I'm talking to people who have seniority in their fields. I'm talking to people who have a strong vision for their life. I'm talking to people who are in the power seat, who are powerhouses. Like I am a powerhouse. I am in the power seat. I am a boss. Like I am knowledgeable. I do have these things within me. So these are the things that are more likely coming on when it comes to this person. Sun and Pluto energy. I remember this day when I had Sun and Pluto energy, and it was like I was having these important conversations around this time with higher ups when it came to, you know, business alignments and career goals and objectives and roles and responsibilities. Like, it was just a lot of important conversations going on regarding those layers and those issues. And these weren't normal everyday conversations. I was like, this stuff is some heavy stuff, like midweek, like it's a Tuesday, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, this is some heavy stuff midweek. And so when we talk about this and we talk about your soulmate, like, and this person who's coming in, this complete story of who this person is, they're having these heavy hitter conversations quite frequently, which would lead me to believe, like, yes, they're taking a more so entrepreneurship role. They're highly knowledgeable when it comes to wealth management. They are focused on the underlying details of, like, it's like, I'm not thinking like an employee. I'm not thinking, let me accomplish this task. I'm thinking, how does this task align with my with these business objectives? And how can I pivot this task in order to better streamline business objectives, to position myself as somebody who is invaluable, and not only that, to gain skills so that even if it doesn't work out here, I can move elsewhere. So it's like more big picture thinking of their career. So they have a big, powerful, smart mind. Big, powerful, smart mind. Especially when it comes to business, especially when it comes to wealth, especially when it comes to finances, especially when it comes to how can I survive out here in these here streets. Just want to let you know about that. How can I best make sure that I am in the power seat? Okay. Very, very strong communication coming from this individual. I want you to know that. This can also be a time for, like, having secrets revealed. So when it comes to this person's personality, we have the High Priestess, and we also have that Sun and Pluto energy here. And then the star also connects to, well, the star's a sun. The sun's a star. So it's also connects to the secret energy connected to the star energy. Secret energy connected to star energy, right? So when I see that here, it's almost like this person's really good at uncovering secrets, or people may come to them a lot when it comes to secret information. I don't know, maybe they're a spy, whatever. I don't know what it is. But people will have these sort of conversations with them, or they themselves have personality traits where they're just like, I'm going to do a lot of research. I'm going to uncover things. If I find that I don't have enough information on this thing, I'm going to be inquisitive about this. Sometimes though, when you have Sun and Pluto in there, it can be overstepping boundaries, and thus that might be something that you have to establish within your relationship. Like, hey, I don't really want to have this conversation with you. And that might be what this Two of Swords is about here, where we're seeing, like, in this relationship, you may have to say, that's a little bit more private. That's a little bit more so something that you don't need to know, something you don't need to be involved with. That's between me and she, not me, she, he, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, it doesn't really involve you. But I think that person, they just have a very curious mind, very Sun and Pluto energy. They want to know a lot about everyone, but they may not reveal as much about themselves. Depends on the person. Depends on the person going on here. We have the Seven of Raindrops, choices. And what I get here, it's different. It's different because I can't sit here and say that they won't reveal things about themselves. And then I can't sit here and say that they are the most open person, because I think for them, it's a little bit more strategic than that. It's a little bit more so, I'm opening up to you about this because I may have an agenda. Now, it can be a positive agenda, like, hey, I'm opening up this about you because I feel like this will bring us closer. That's the agenda, right? To bring us closer. Or, you know, it could be in different circumstances where I'm opening up this about you because I want you to tell me something, and then I might find that information useful in the future so that I can get you a nice gift, and then you can be on my side, and then you can do a favor for me, right? Like, the more you know somebody, the more you can know how to treat them, know how to talk to them, know how to smooge with them in order to get them to like you. And especially if that person is in a powerful position, they might be useful as a friend someday. So sometimes the thinking is very strategic for them. And sometimes it's more so, I mean, it's always strategic with them, but sometimes it's more so, what can I get from this person? And other times it's like, okay, I'm going to tell this much because I think it would help us be closer as a couple. Very, like I said, Powerful mind here. Powerful mind. There's nothing dumb about this person here at all. And then when we do have this Ketu in the 10th house, we have Rahu in the 4th house. And obviously Rahu's expanding that 4th house. It's getting creative there. Rahu doesn't really like the 4th house so much because Rahu's more like, I need to be outside, I need to innovate, I need to do things. But if it's in the 4th house, then it's more so like, how can I work from home? And there's a quite possibility, I think maybe another pile might work from home as well. But this person may also be someone who works from home, or they bring their work home. Okay, it's not like something that they can just shake off at the end of the day. They're just like, I need to talk about this with someone. I have to talk to you about this. Or, you know, they end up working those longer hours. You're able to call them after hours. They may not set those boundaries so much, you know, like the Sun and Pluto energy can be very like work intensive. I mean, literally Sun is work and then Pluto is that intense energy. So it's like this work intensive energy. Especially when we have this here, it's like, how can I bring this home? The High Priestess is in her home and she's doing her work and she's reading her book and she's going beyond the veil and she's taking everything in. She doesn't turn it off. So this person is the type who may bring their work home. Let me actually get into the stuff that we want to talk about. Like the stuff I know that you all really want to focus on, which is the basics of like, well, how are we meeting this person, right? How is this person coming and appearing in my life? And what are we doing here? Like, what's the vibes? What's going on here? When we have the 7 of Cups and we have this Ketu in the 10th house, Ketu, like I said, it is this headless, spiritual, take my soul out of my body type of energy. What's take my soul out of my body experiences? The quickest way through that is drugs, alcohol, right? And then we have choices, which I often get this connection. This is basically the 7 of Cups. And the 7 of Cups is very much connected to the house, like being sort of like in this state of, I'm a little bit out of my senses, right? I don't know what YouTube censors, right? But it's essentially I'm out of my normal state. I'm inebriated. So you may meet this person in a bar. You may meet this person in an environment where people drink a lot. A vineyard, a bar, what does he call it? I guess it's just a wine bar. There's no specific name for a wine bar, right? A distillery, whatever the case may be. But it's like I've been taken out of my normal everyday functions. Sometimes though, maybe it's a healthy way of disassociating and just kind of pulling yourself out of yourself. And this can have to do with saying, okay, I am taking myself out of the real world stagnant nature of things, meaning like I am going to do something that makes me feel high, that feels very extreme, like I'm going to jump out of a plane. Like it's a place that will give you like an adrenaline rush with this Ketu in the 10th house energy and Rahu in the 7th, because Rahu is all about like doing things that are innovative, doing things that are exciting, doing things that are different, doing things that are outside the box, breaking the norm. It's very like consumer energy. It wants to feel that adrenaline rush. And the 4th house is your emotions, right? And so when we have the 7 of Cups, it's like, oh, I'm in this airy state of face. I'm like in this buzzed out state of mind. Then we know that you might meet them in a place where you're getting some sort of rush, some sort of adrenaline rush going on here. I don't know what you do. Maybe you meet them in a hot air balloon. You know, people do meet in all sorts of strange places. You can meet them in a super tall building, a super high up building. You know, where you're like, oh my God, I'm scared of heights. This is scary. This is scary up here. So I'm getting a little bit of a rush, right? Like I'm a little bit like scared that I have to be in this spot right now. Or it just could be in a place where, you know, you feel a little uncomfortable. I don't know. I don't know about the uncomfortable part. Maybe nervous. Uncomfortable sounds like something bad's happening too, but it's like more like nervous. Some place that's like, ooh, this makes me a little nervous to try this or do this or something along the lines of that. Maybe it's new to you. Sometimes people get nervous about going places they're not familiar with, right? But that's something I want to talk about when we talk about like, how are you meeting this individual? Speaking of non-familiar places, maybe you're nervous because the place that's non-familiar is a little bit further away. Like, oh, I'm a little bit nervous. I am traveling around Egypt by myself. I don't think I've ever been in the country by myself, you know, like that type of feeling, that type of nervous, adventurous feeling, that little bit of adrenaline rush. That's what's kind of going on when you meet this person. This little bit of excitement. And I don't think it's solely from them. I think it's like the place you're at, what you're doing, something's going on. This is a new experience for you, or a scary experience for you, or a little bit out of the box experience for you. Or like I said, that K2, I'm taking you out of your body and I'm making you lose your mind. K2 is the headless one, right? So any substance that's a strong substance can make you lose your mind, right? Anyway, who this person is a person. We have a little bit about their personality, right? We know that they can be very work intensive, work focused, that there's a spiritual side to them. I don't think I said that, but I should say that. It's right away. It's clear. The star, the high priestess, there's a spiritual side to them. K2 in the 10th house. It's like I have spiritual aspirations. I'm reaching towards spirituality. My goal is to ascend from my reality. That's a goal. I want to pull away from this place. I don't want this normal. I don't want this 9 to 5. I don't want to go into an office 5 days a week. I don't want what society wants from me. I want to break away from that. So very unconventional in that way. They are opening up themselves to more choices. They like their choices. Their choices are great. Very somebody who can be a little bit indecisive, especially when we have the 2 of Swords and the choices. They have to take their time deciding. They're like, I need to really think about this. Like, don't rush me, please. I need to focus. I need to think things through. I need to do my research. I need to pause. I need to reflect. Like, I don't know. I just need some space. I need some space. Let me think. Like, that's them. They need that time to think it through. And you may want to rush them and be like, come on. It's just a restaurant. You're like, no, but this place has really good dessert and this place has great appetizers. And am I in the mood for this dessert, or do I really want these appetizers? I need to think it through. That's very much their personality when it comes to that. Appearance-wise, that's interesting because you would think like Sun, Pluto, sometimes it gives like a very sultry, mysterious, sexy type of look. Not necessarily. And that's not to say that they aren't that. You know, that's not to say that they aren't like sultry, sexy, da-da-da-da. But it's more to say that they have like more of a, to be honest, I've seen it more for like personality. Like when it's just more of an intense personality, more of like, let me investigate, let me go further, let me expose myself. Literally, I see a lot of Sun, Pluto, strong aspects, ascendant, Sun, Moon, conjunct Pluto, and they might be sort of like voyeuristic, like I'm gonna flash you or something, like things like, let me expose my body. And then sometimes they make a lot of like maybe dirty jokes or something like that. But then like other times it's more so like very like, I'm focused on my work, I'm focused on my career, I'm focused on my grind, I'm working 100 hours a week, I'm working 90 hours a week. That's the main thing that I've seen. But if we're going to appearance, if we're going to anything common about the appearance, it's less refined. I don't know how to say that. If I had to give them a look, they're not that put together. Like, if you see my son, my Neptune beauty video, you know how Neptune's like this, you know, mystical illusion, glamorous planet. And so every part of it is very much like put together and refined and detailed. And how can I create this image of perfection? Sun and Pluto's a little bit more messy, to be completely honest. They aren't as, like, you don't look at them and think, damn, that person's so polished. You know, they're a little bit more approachable, more so like blend in, which I guess that goes to the secretive side of nature too. It's like, how can I blend in and seem unassuming? That's like the vibe of it. But we do know that this person, in certain ways, in certain aspects, they do stand out because we have the star card here. So that means there's something unique about their appearance, something that will catch your eye, because otherwise we wouldn't have gotten the star card. But we have the high priestess here, and the high priestess likes to pull back. She likes the shadows. And like I told you about the Sun and Pluto energy, inconspicuous type of vibe. Unassuming, doesn't stand out too much, not doing too much. So it's more than likely they may dress a certain way, but maybe there's a certain feature of theirs that stands out. Maybe they have a certain eye shape, eye color that's like pops. Maybe they have a feature on their face that's really stands out. Sometimes people have that, like some people have a wider nose or a longer nose, or somebody has like a very defined jawline, or somebody has like very full lips. It's like something, some feature somewhere stands out. Could be their height. That's quite possible too. Sometimes the star can, it's like, oh, this person seems so tall, you know, so like unreachable. I literally can't reach them. They're tall. You know, something like that can be very much inspiring, like this type of energy here. I do want to say that. But it 100% creates a striking image. It 100% does. Especially like with K2 10th house, it's kind of like how you appear in the world outside yourself. And like I said, I've seen this K2 in the 10th house. It almost makes it, you seem like exotic. And it's interesting, like, because I don't think this person is necessarily presenting themselves in a way or adorning themselves in a way that's very out there or particular, or like, you know what I mean? Like they're not dressing up like Lady Gaga. I love Lady Gaga, by the way. And they're not going around on the red carpet. They're not doing anything that's particularly bold in terms of how they choose to dress. But there's something about their feature that stands out. Trust me, K2 10th house, people look at these type of people and they're like, I remember them. Like they're the one with the red hair. They're the one with that very sharp smile. They're the one with those pretty eyes. They're the one that had this very like striking look. Like it does that, okay? So I do want to say that about the appearance. Where they are in their life right now, they have some decisions to make. This person, your person, they're going through something in their life that is a career transition, a goal transition. They are wanting more freedom. They're wanting more adventure. They're wanting more spontaneity. And they're trying to figure out the best way to achieve that. Because right now they're feeling like, I've just got to decide what direction I want to go in. Choices, 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 choices here, choices there. And the High Priestess is just kind of like waiting and things along the lines of that. And then also with the Sun and Pluto, when those come together, that's like a career transformation. When K2's in the 10th house, that's also a career transformation. So something's going on with their job, career, that area of life or goals that is like shifting currently right now. And they're trying to figure out, what exactly do I want to do next? Or where exactly do I want to go? What direction am I pivoting in? Maybe it feels like they've reached a place that's a stalemate within their career and they're just like, I've hit that glass ceiling. Like, I don't think there's much for me here. I don't think I can learn. I don't think I can grow in this environment, and I can stay here. And maybe it's this is stable, but I think I want to pivot. But like I already said, I really feel like this person already has more than one stream of income and they're not really in a traditional structure. So maybe they're thinking of like, what's my next business venture? Where am I investing my time next? What do I want to do next? And that can happen, right? Like there's so many different ways in this world to make money. Maybe they're just like, oh, I want to maybe move to something digital. Maybe I want to start a trucking company. Maybe I want to go to vending machines. Maybe I want to sell silverware because, I mean, heck, when are we ever not going to need silverware? But like they're thinking of their next plan. They're thinking of their next pivot. And it's something really major that they have to decide. And they're really going to need to think this through. This is a very pause and reflect time for them and their life. I think they're very much single for sure right now. But that's something that they have to go through. You know, this is the type of person who I really feel like they like to remain politically informed. So one of their hobbies could just be like keeping up with the news cycle, keeping up with what's going on at the country, policies, global warming, da 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 da. Like they like to stay informed on policies, government. Like this is somebody who's very much invested in those areas and wanting to understand the legal system, the different branches of government. They're up to date on what's going on with the Department of Education and all of these different groups and things. What's happening with Congress? Like this is like, they like doing this in their free time. They don't have so much going on when it comes to activities. We have this Knight of Wands in the end. And so the Knight of Wands does have that element of like, yeah, I like to go hiking. I like to go walking. I like to go working out sometimes. But I usually get the wands to represent cardio. So not very muscular physique. Like these cards aren't like, hey, I got huge muscles. Not at all. But it doesn't mean that they're not strong. It just means that they aren't super strong, right? So Knight of Wands is very much like a cardio type of person. Like I said, hiking. I'm trying to think of different sports. I'm not a sports girl. Basketball, tennis. What do people play now? Pickleball. You know, it's just like a very much like I like to keep active and doing different things along the lines of that, right? I like to move my body in that way. They're not consistent with it. I'll say that with the Knight of Wands here, but they do enjoy it. They do enjoy it, and they'll probably invite you out to do that. Not much of a cook, so don't expect that from them if that is what you are hoping for. This energy is, like I said, very work focused. It's not that they're incapable. It's more so like they're so focused on what they need to accomplish that they really aren't trying to spend a lot of time like, let me whip up a meal. Like they're like, I'm eating on the go. Knight of Wands is like, let me grab a sandwich and I'm out. Like, let me, you know, shake a smoothie, drink it, put it in my mouth. I'm done. Like I'm out the door. Like I don't have time for this. I do know that you two will have a very strong spiritual connection, because how could you not with this combination of cards here? This Two of Swords card is very much like you two. I don't like to argue. I don't want to argue with you. Like, let's just move on. You know, let's agree to disagree. Like that's you guys' whole vibe. Let's keep the peace. Okay. I don't really understand that perspective. It's not really my vibe. That's not really my thing, but you know, it's okay. It's okay. You know, we just don't see eye to eye on that. It's very much like, okay, we don't argue here. We don't argue here. We don't want to argue. It feels awkward. You don't like that. This is very much like we vibe over spirituality. We vibe over our connection. We vibe over our, you know, love of the divine, our love of our spirit, our love of ourselves. Very much like self-healing, self-love type of energy. Like I said, sometimes though with this Two of Swords, it's almost like you can bury things a little too quickly, and you may have to revisit some topics later and have to say, okay, let's talk about this at a later date and have that loop back around until you guys figure out the best way to do some conflict resolution. I feel like this relationship is pretty intense, to be completely honest. There's nothing really light about this energy at all. When I think about this is like so much so fast all at once, you know, everywhere all the time. You know, it's just it feels like clingy. I don't know, like maybe clingy is not the best word, because there's so much negative connotation between clingy. I don't know why, but well, we do know why. People need their space, but this feels like you won't get that space. This is very much like we're together. You know, like I said, if K2's in the 10th house, then that means Rahu's in the 4th house, and Rahu's like our at home time, our family time, our company time. And so this is very much like expanding the amount of time that you spend in a private space, private area. And if you live together, then this is like, we spend a lot of time together. Like we spend a lot of time in the same area. We spend a lot of time in the same home. Like we see each other a lot. Like this Two of Swords energy, we're always looking at each other in the eye. We're always seeing each other. We're always viewing each other. I see you all the time. You're in my space. So sometimes one of you two may need to step out and give each other space. But like you guys will see each other a lot. You'll spend a lot of time together. Like it's very intensive. It's very, very intensive going on here. Trying to think of what else I didn't cover. There's something that I am missing here. I think what this will change into your life is it's going to bring about a sense of spontaneity, because it's going to rip you out of your comfort zone. And I mean rip. I don't mean like gently nudge. I mean rip you out of your comfort zone and shake your foundations to your core. That is what Pluto does, especially when it's near the sun. And that's what K2 does in the 10th house. You thought you were going this way. Your idea of where your reality was going has completely shifted. The rug has been pulled out from under you, kind of like this relationship. This relationship feels like someone took a rug, pulled it out from under you, and it's like, where did this person come from? I'm happy to see you, but why did you rip this rug out from under me? Like, why did you do that? Like, that's the feeling of this relationship. So it just feels like a lot of things happening at once all the time. The feeling, it's very overwhelming, but I do think for the most part, this relationship is very peaceful. There's a very strong foundation, a lot of trust here. Trust is a good one. You know, trust is a very good one, because I have not seen that with a lot of relationships. Don't get me wrong. Two of Swords can represent not trusting everybody with everything all the time, because it's like, oh, I want to bounce off ideas, but I'm not really sure if you will try to be combative or play devil's advocate, or just kind of like give me a lot of resistance and pushback and things along the lines of that. So I don't want to completely open up, but it gets to a place where there's strong trust. Not all at once, but it gets to a place. You know, everything goes through phases, everything goes through cycles, but trust is so good with this relationship. Trust is coming up quite a bit, a lot of it. So how will you recognize them? I think that's what I wanted to say. Like, how will you recognize them? That's the question I was thinking about. This person, like I said, is going to have a pretty unique feature that's going to stand out. Okay, that's the main thing to look for when you recognize them. Unique feature stands out, but they themselves are not very much like, they're not a talker, guys. Like, I don't know why we keep getting that, but I can't. The High Priestess is quiet. She's mysterious. There's an element of mystery of them. Sun and Pluto can be mysteries too, because like I said, they make like, I'm collecting data on you, but you don't know who I am. That type of energy there. Two of Swords also, I'm not speaking, keeping my thoughts to myself. I'm thinking things through. I'm trying to make a decision. So very much like I have a distinct feature, but I'm not revealing much about myself. Mystery person. Mystery vibes, very alluring in that way. So keep in mind when it comes to that mystery person. Tall, dark, and handsome. Tall, dark, and beautiful, depending on what you like, what you're into. That's what's happening here with this person. Mysterious and powerful. I think I want to leave with that, because that's their total, the whole vibe of them. Mysterious, powerful. How do they make their money? That's going to be one of your questions. How is this person making their money? How are they affording that? Where did that come from? So like, that's the sort of thought process you're thinking. All right, I think that's all I have for you, pal number 1. Very interesting person. Mysterious figure. Less mysterious over time, but mysterious nonetheless when you meet them and try to figure them out here. I will say the Knight of Wands can be a little testy sometimes. Not to say that they're going to like lose their temper or anything like that, but Knight of Wands is like, I just need my space to walk away sometimes. And then also it's like, I'm going to make some bold decisions to do some things. Like Knight of Wands is like, oh, sometimes I ride without my seatbelt on. Like, you know, it's like very much like, this is a little bit like, why are you doing that? Like, it doesn't seem safe. Knight of Wands doesn't care about safety. Knight of Wands doesn't care about safety. And also same thing that happens with Pluto and Sun. Rule breaker type of energy. Very much like, I'm going to, if you're not going to let me in, I'm going to knock the door down. Knight of Wands has very similar energy to that. I'm a rule breaker. I'm going to do what I want. You aren't going to put your rules and impose them on me. Knight of Wands, Pluto, Sun, and K2 in the 10th house are all like, I don't care for your rules. So you may find someone who, like I said, has an aversion to certain rules or behaviors. Like, you know how sometimes when there's like, people will say there's nothing to do at work. There's nothing to do at work. And they'll pretend to work, right? They're just, I'm pretending to work. I'm typing on my computers. I'm pretending to work. This person may not even pretend. They're like, I'm not even going to pretend anymore. I'm just going to do something else. And, you know, if you catch me on, you catch me. Whatever. You caught me. Oopsie. They're very bold. Very bold when it comes to that. I'm not going to say that they're like, oh, I'm breaking off these laws and everything. But all I'm saying is that there's an element of boldness to them. Let's bend the rules in order to get the job done. Okay, we're like, well, it's not breaking any laws, or maybe it is. I don't know. Like, depending on the type of bad, you know, bad guy you got, you know, like, kind of rule breaker you got. They're like, well, if it gets the job done, let's do it. Like, if it helps people, let's do it. Like, why do we need to listen to this? You know, let's jaywalk. Who cares if the lights are red? Like, there's no cars coming here. It's 2 a.m., right? Like, some people will not jaywalk for anything. Like, they're like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Other people, they're like, I'm from New York. We all jaywalk. So that's what I have for you, pal. Number one, I'm ending it there. If this doesn't resonate with you, feel free to choose a new pal or choose a new reader. Either way, I'm very happy you stopped by. Don't forget, if you want to ask me a question, I go live either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. The time will be posted on the community tab. So check out that community tab. And also on that community tab, you can vote for what reading that you want to see next. Or you can just comment down below and say, hey, Brandy, I want to see this type of reading. Could you do this? And I'll say, yeah, maybe I can do that. I'll try. That is what I have for you. I hope to see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pal. Number two, let's get started on the complete story of your soulmate. We have the moon shadow work. We have the strength card. We have justice. We have so many major cards. The fool. We have the star. And we have, ooh, Saturn and Neptune. Oh my goodness. And I think they're coming closer together this year too. Isn't that interesting? In the sky, Saturn will be entering Aries and hanging out with Neptune. And they're already kind of like in each other's energies. They're really close to each other. Depending on when I get this video up, it might actually be time for the conjunction. But anyway, before we get into that and everything that we're seeing that's great up here, I do want to roll these Astro Dice. Love the Astro Dice. Love, love, love them. So let's get into it. Got to give it a good roll, though. All right. I think they're all scrambled. Yes. We have the 12th house here. We have Saturn. And we have Aquarius. Saturn really has something to say to you, pal. Number two. So let's get into this thing. Who is your soulmate? Like, what is their character like? Because we got this Astro Dice first, and it's coming up with this Saturn energy in the 12th house and this Aquarius type of vibe. You know, what's happening here is it's all about this person putting in a lot of time and effort into making sure that their dreams come true. I know that because Saturn is in Aquarius, and that brings this heavy focus on creating your dreams into reality. But the thing is, with this 12th house energy, is it's a slow progress, a slow process, I should say. 12th house is the house of basically suspension, being held in one place, having to go through this long journey only to end up back where you kind of started and saying, oh, wait, I thought I wanted to go in this direction, but it doesn't seem like that's exactly what I want. 12th house is very Wizard of Oz. It's very much like, you know, I fell off into this fantasy land. Then I'm off to see the wizard, this great powerful figure. And along the journey, I meet these crazy characters. I get some courage, you know, I get a little bit smarter, I grow in empathy, and then I get to the end of the journey and everything that I thought I wanted or everything that I thought was out there that was so amazing in my mind wasn't real, and there's no place like home. So this person is someone who may be currently going through this period of disillusionment, or they may have gone through several periods of disillusionment within their life, where they felt like they may have wanted certain things. Those things didn't turn to pan out the way they would like, or it didn't satisfy them in the way that they thought it would. And so now they're more in a spiritual place, and they're speaking some sort of more spiritual fulfillment, some sort of baseline for happiness or relief or peace or something along the lines of that. Just the ability to just say, okay, you know, I'm fine with the way things are. Let me not get so caught up in the material, right? They're on this very spiritual journey. So we know your soulmate is more than likely someone who is searching for this higher self, for this higher being, for this higher sense of achievement. I love how we also have the star here, which is also connected to Aquarius. They're searching for something that is obtained through, honestly, through their own spiritual fulfillment, through their own sacrifices that they make. This is all about, what is it that makes me happy? What is it that brings me fulfillment? What is it that I feel aligns closely with my goals? What is it that gets me out of the bed? It's breaking away from, I'm not going to say all of society's expectations, but it is, oh, the Fool is also connected to Uranus, which is also connected to Aquarius. This Aquarius Saturn vibe, and Saturn rules over Aquarius traditionally too as well. There's this very strong here, but it's about breaking free of expectations that may be thrusted upon you and building your own. It's about understanding what truly matters. Like I was giving you that story with the Wizard of Oz and Dorothy thinking the Wizard of Oz is this great powerful figure who can grant wishes, and then she realizes the power comes from within. So this person is at a place in their life where they're realizing everything they need is within themselves. So you're coming in contact with somebody who's quite spiritual, quite connected to the divine, quite connected to their own path. This does not mean that they don't have any outward achievements or that they aren't a successful person, but what it does mean is that it has to be in line with their true nature. It has to be in line with their soul. It has to be in line with who they are. This person has to shed the parts of them that does not connect with their spirit. They don't like it. They're not a fan of it. They're not interested. They said goodbye to all of that. This is also the house, I was going to just say, dealing with those darker sides, which is probably why we got this moon card shadow work. Obviously, this person has been putting in a lot of time and effort into tackling those deep and dark layers of their personality, or maybe even just areas that they struggle with. Some people struggle with areas of insecurity, areas of self-doubt, which is very common with this Saturn energy here. Especially in the 12th house going on here. That's a lot of feelings of insecurity, a lot of feelings of like feeling rejected by people, feeling like you're not accepted, feeling like you're the underdog in a situation, feeling like people don't appreciate you, and one day you're going to do something grand and you're going to get that attention that people will say, oh my gosh, I can't believe I overlooked this amazing person. And so they may be dealing with some past feelings of resentment or feeling like they've been overlooked in some sort of way, because we have those type of energies, especially within the 12th house. The 12th house is also the house of humiliation and honestly just embarrassment. Like when you have a strong 12th house transit, you may be put in some situations which are just totally embarrassing for you. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's just, it can just feel totally humiliating, demoralizing, traumatic. And, you know, there's a lot of serious situations. So this person may have gone through a lot of situations where they felt like they have been violated, where they felt like they have been used, or where they felt devalued, or where they felt powerless, because that is another theme of this type of energy, where they feel like they need to seek justice, or they need to overcome the way that they are thinking, the way that they are limiting themselves, the insecurities that they have harbored from these circumstances. And they are understanding that they need to pull away from all of that because it's holding them back. That was in the past. And they know this. They know this. That's why we have this shadow work card. That's why we have this Saturnian type of energy. That's why they're trying to transform. That's why we have so much Aquarius vibes going on here, because they're trying to focus on the future. But this person recognizes that they have a lot of baggage. The good thing is, I know it doesn't sound great. Who's your soulmate? Somebody with a lot of baggage. Like, no, it doesn't sound great, but it actually is really good. Because you're going to get somebody who is so spiritually attuned, somebody who has a deeper understanding of themselves, someone who is acknowledging that they are not perfect, that they have been hurt, that they have gone through circumstances that were beyond their controls, that they can still move forward and overcome those things. It's their mindset that they are working on changing, and that is a powerful person. That is a person who recognizes that they have limitations, but they don't have to let those limitations define them. And they don't have to let those mistakes or situations that didn't pan out the way they would like define them. Which is why I think they are so focused on like the future and overcoming things and working on themselves and bettering themselves and doing better and making sure that they are not only doing better for themselves, but they want to do better for other people. I know this because we have Justice card, and Justice is all about partnerships and relationships and connections with other people. Same with the Star card, same with Aquarius, same with Saturn and Neptune. This is all about how can I connect and uplift and better other people. They're coming from a place of, how can I make sure that I live a fulfilling life in which I am able to effectively give back to other people? You have a very charitable soulmate coming here. You have somebody coming in that is, what's the word? They're very much a hard worker at trying to make sure that they are implementing compassion everywhere around them. Very beautiful soul, I'll say that. So I just want to throw that out there. And like I said, keep in mind, Saturn and Neptune will be coming together this year, I believe in March. So probably by the time this video is posted. If I depends on what time I decide to post it. Sometimes I switch up the order. But that energy will be coming up in your life, and maybe that's a sign that you'll meet your soulmate soon. I don't know. We didn't ask about timing for this reading, okay? We're not covering that when, but I do want to get into, how they may carry themselves and how they present themselves. You're dealing with somebody who's, strong silent type. Whether that's a man or a woman, strong silent type is how they're approaching things. That's their vibe. That's who they are. We have a lot of more like introverted soulmates here. But I gotta call it like I see it. Like we have the moon, shadow work. The moon is like this mysterious figure, right? Like the moon, we don't know anything about the moon. The moon comes out at night. It's a little shiny. We can see a little bit parts of it. It goes through different phases and cycles. We don't know everything about the moon, right? Then we have the strength card, which is all the card of like holding back, being patient. Sometimes, not always in the shadows, because, it comes with Leo energy, but it's like, let me hold my tongue. Let me not say everything that pops in my brain, like out in the world to people. Let me show a bit of patience, okay? We have that Saturn in the 12th house energy. And Saturn in the 12th house energy, people I have met, honestly, they tend to be a little bit more reclusive. They don't like to go out and socialize too much. They are very selective about who they hang our time out with. So we know right away how this person is carrying themselves is to be very, very much, very laid back. Let me pull back. Maybe be, strong, silent, like I said. Very gentle type of person. Very softer type energy. Justice card here is all about how can I talk you through a situation? How can I best communicate my point? How can I make sure that I'm being heard? But they don't want to have to be super, super verbal all the time. They want to do it in a very balanced way. Meaning like, you know, you talk, they talk, you talk, they talk. Like, it doesn't have to be like someone dominates the conversation all the time. They would find that to be not enjoyable at all. That's not within their preferences. But they are able to get their point across in a very diplomatic way, in a very kind way. They know how to sell themselves. They know how to make things sound good. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, for example, if they have something that they want to say to you that they may perceive that you may have a not so positive reaction to it. For example, let's say they need their space. Instead of saying, hey, could you leave me alone? I need my space. They might start off with, which is a very typical way to do things. It's a positive way. If you want to use it, go ahead. You start off with a compliment. Hey, you are so smart and amazing, and I love you. Second thing. But sometimes I need a moment to myself. See? And then that's the second step is you start with an I statement. Third step, I would really appreciate if, and I don't know, 30 minutes after I came home, I just had that time to myself. And then you insert the request. You see what I mean? Compliment, make an I statement, give your request. So this is the type of person who's very good with communication and things along the lines of that, communicating in a way that is healthy and not hurtful. Very diplomatic with their words. We don't got any Aries energy coming on here. That's that Libra energy. And Aries energy would just say, please leave me alone. Very direct, say just, you know what, get out of my face right now. Like, but this person's very diplomatic with their words. How they like to spend their free time. This person tends to like to spend their free time to themselves. They kind of have a very explorative type of attitude, adventurous, wanting to go off into the world. They do have a social life for sure, especially with this star card energy. And we have so much Aquarius going on and Libra. There's a lot of air sign energy. So I know this person has probably a pretty strong social life, and not only that, but we have the Strength card, which is connected to Leo, 5th house, house of fun. Now you can have fun by yourself, but I don't think that's what this person does all the time. They do have a lot of hobbies, but I think their hobbies involve other people. For example, you know, a hobby that might involve another person might be like, hey, I take salsa lessons, right? You're not dancing salsa by yourself, you're dancing with another person. Versus a hobby that you might do by yourself, I go bird watching. You don't need anybody else to go bird watching. This person likes to do hobbies. They have quite a few of them, and they do them with other people, not by themselves. This person might be interested in hiking. I have a feeling that this person is more outdoorsy. Sometimes I can see these two combination of cards to represent hunting. Don't know if, you know, that's your thing, or if you have an issue with that, you know, I don't know. But I have to throw that out there because I have seen that to be like, okay, this person is a hunter, right? So that's something that I've seen just with that combination of cards. Another thing that we can see here with these cards laid out is this person is all about the new experiences. They're all about trying something new. They will take their time to sort of figure out the direction that they want to go in, but they are so happy to explore different avenues. And I think that's part of the reason why they're doing their shadow work, because they recognize that maybe certain things are holding them back. For example, if they've had a lot of negative social encounters when they were younger, then it may inhibit them from wanting to be a part of certain situations, right? They may say, okay, I can do my hobbies with 1 or 2 or 3 friends, but if you're like, hey, why don't you come to this meetup and there's like 50, 100 people there, they may be like, oh, I don't know about that, because they have that social anxiety that they had from their childhood, right? So they're recognizing that their anxiety may have inhibited them from doing certain things, and so that's why they're doing sort of shadow work. I'm just giving an example. That may not even be the case, but that's something that could be a possibility. So they're doing the shadow work to learn to go do and be more explorative, because they recognize that that makes them happy. That's good for their soul. This person loves doing things that makes them happy. I know that sounds, you know, obvious. Who doesn't love doing things that makes them happy? But this person is actively doing these things. Like, they actively make time to say, hey, I need to go do something that puts me in a good mood, that makes me happy, that makes me feel good. That's this type of energy that's coming in. If we're going to talk about in terms of like attractiveness or things along the lines of that, or not attractiveness, appearance, I mean, I'm sure you'll find them very attractive. But if we're talking about the appearance and things along the lines of that, well, when we have this sort of Saturnian Aquarius 12th house energy, from my experience, Aquarius kind of brings about things that are different and unique. And the people that I've seen have that sort of Saturn and Aquarius, either in the 12th house, first house, second house, they have something unique about their appearance. And that's whether they do that to themselves or whether they are born that way, then it doesn't really matter. It's just representing something that's going to be unique. Strength card, they're on the nose when it represents somebody being athletic or somebody who can just have like a wider build, or like a thicker build or something along the lines of that, or stocky. Saturn energy can represent tall. Saturn tends to be like a very lengthy, elongating planet. Not necessarily all the time, but generally, Saturn likes things that are long, which makes sense because Saturn's cycle is very long too. But yeah, if you see that combination together, then that can be what is happening here. So you may be with a partner who is very tall. And I only say very because we do have that Neptune energy, and Neptune is sort of like dreamlike. You know, if you've seen my Neptune video, beauty video, then you know that is a very dreamlike thing. But I will say, if you are interested in men, Neptune doesn't necessarily bring about beauty in men. What it does is it tends to make them like very more strategic in a way. So with that Neptune energy, I think I already mentioned this person being very strategic, which I kind of already knew from like Saturn being in the 12th house in Aquarius, but just want to emphasize that it's a very strategic way of thinking, very much so thinking long term, thinking how I can make these building blocks into reality. But sometimes this combination can make somebody super delusional. I don't really see that here with these cards, so I don't think we need to even go into that. But maybe they have delusional moments. This card, and sometimes it can make somebody like a little arrogant. Hopefully that's not the case with your soulmate astronauts. Any sort of mannerisms that we see here, I feel like this person is the type to talk a lot with their hands, for sure. That's going on. Definitely someone who will be traveling a lot. You know, they don't like to stay in one place. This is not a person who does not have a passport. They are passport ready. They are gone. They are out of here. They're on that adventure. They're ready to move. They're like, let's go, let's go, let's go. Very much into unique experiences. Very much into trying new things. Very much into like, this is, you don't know what to expect with this person. You don't, let me repeat this. You don't know what to expect with this person. This person is going to throw you for a loop when you meet them. They're going to shock you. Obviously, it's going to be good because you're going to date this person. You're going to be with this person. You're going to like this person. You're going to love this person. But they're going to throw you for a total loop when you meet them. I think for this relationship, what you two are bonding over is the fact that you do share like a sense of principles here. When we have this Justice card, obviously you both have that same sense of, this is what we believe in, this is what we find valuable. Obviously, if you are, you know, American watching this or whatever, it doesn't really matter what country, but you probably have the same political beliefs, more than likely. You're more than likely going to, I don't think so. This doesn't really go into religion. Saturn and Neptune can dissolve religion, to be completely honest. These aren't really like religious type cards we have here. They're more so like, hey, I believe in women's rights. I believe in the right to vote. I believe in free education. I believe in free healthcare. I believe in, like, it's like we share the same principles, right? Like, that's the type of bonding that is going on here. We have similar education levels, especially when we have these two cards going on here. We have similar hobbies. I really do feel like you two are bonding over the things that you have in common, that are hobbies and that are just like, okay, we both like doing these things. That's pretty cool. Like, I actually really enjoy that. You may both be in the same field, quite possibly, to a degree, only because I generally see this combination to represent sort of like people being somewhat in the same field, because you can take this as Uranus in Libra. And generally, people like that, when I see like a Uranus transit, like a 7th house, which Libra connects to the 7th house, people sort of meet more people who are within the same field. Any challenges, I would say, sometimes, I think the biggest challenge may be like, this person is very ambitious. And so a lot of their energy may go on their work. And so I don't know if there's an actual physical separation or a break or at some point, but there could be a huge amount of dedication towards their work. I just want to keep that in mind. This is a very loving relationship. There's a lot of combinations about, like, there's a lot of conversations about the future and the possibilities that are out there. There's a lot of conversation when it comes to how can we benefit and grow as a society. Like, both of you are really good about thinking long term. And I think you two will bond because you have both a similar vision when it comes to your dreams and how you picture your life long term, where you picture living, how you picture your day to day, you know, what the things that you spend your time on. Like, it just feels like, oh, this person likes the similar things as me, or they have similar goals as me, and it feels like we value those same things, or we have those same set of principles in which we treat other people with respect, or we're both well-mannered, or we both believe in considering people's feelings, and, you know, things along the lines of that. It's very much that type of energy when it comes to this bonding here. And you're both like being spontaneous. You're both like trying new things. The star is such a peaceful card. There's a lot of peace in a relationship. Justice also represents peace and balance. But the thing is, it's always about finding balance. So it's almost like you both, it's not like you never get out of whack, but it's like you find your way back to balance. You find your way back to that center point, and it's always about finding balance. I remember I got the Justice card once for sort of like, how would this lesson go? I was flying a plane. I know, sounds so random. I was flying a plane, and I was like, oh, how would this flying the plane go? And it was Justice. I got the Justice card, and it went perfectly fine. But one thing that I learned about flying a plane was it was all about balance. Like, I did not realize that you had to, you know, make sure that you were not pushing too hard on the left side or not pushing too hard on the right side. And if you do, you know, it's only because you're making a certain turn, and then you kind of have to, you're constantly having to like push your feet up and down, like to find that balance. And so your relationship is kind of like that. There's constant movement and work going on from both of you to make sure that things stay balanced and things stay stable. And I really do admire what's going on here in this relationship, because in order to do that, in order to find that balance, there needs to be a lot of communication, similar to when I was flying that plane. We were just talking the whole time because it needed to be done in order to find balance. So there's very, very strong communication. From what I've seen, this is probably one of the strongest communication pals that we've encountered here. And that's probably because you have a partner who's doing the work, and maybe you're doing the work yourself as well in terms of spiritual enlightenment and growth and emotional growth and things along the lines of that. I feel like you two are just able to provide really solid advice to each other, encouraging each other to take chances, to try new things, to experiment, to get out of your boxes, to revolutionize things, to be better, to know better, to, you know, live a certain type of life, you know, be able to, what's the word? Not be stuck. Never be stuck in a circumstance. You know, it just feels like, it feels like there's always an evolution of growth. There's always room for development. There's always room for change. There's always room for reevaluating what needs to go on and what needs to happen. And maybe that's that Saturn-Neptune energy. In fact, I think the last time Saturn and Neptune had a sextile might have been during the pandemic, if I want to remember. And of course my camera cuts off. But okay, so as I was saying, last time Saturn and Neptune had that sort of sextile, it wasn't 2020, it was actually 2019. So 2019, Saturn and Neptune were sextiling. And obviously what was going on there, sort of in the background, we had the rise of the pandemic going on, but we didn't know it was a pandemic yet. I don't even know if we can say this on YouTube. You know how it's so censored and everything. We had sort of like a lot of booming when it came to social media. I think TikTok was on the rise, right? And it was basically creating this new system of how we communicate with each other, a new new stream of revenue for the economy, new influences. Like TikTok's probably one of the wildest controversial apps, minus like maybe Facebook or something along the lines, because of their data privacy stuff. But it became like this huge rise. Anyway, how that relates to this relationship is it becomes about having to constantly innovate and evolve in terms of your communication so that it is on a higher level. You know, it feels like it is growing at this higher level where you two will like intuitively be able to understand each other and maybe even guide and provide guidance to other people, because I often get the star card to represent that sense of guidance, and being able to set an example and lead by example in a way. I do want to say, obviously, there was also some sort of major protests and strikes and things going on at the time as well. Lots of political division. We all know that. That's still kind of like going on today. But it was just kind of, it was this energy where things were kind of reaching this boiling point. It's this energy of like an intensity of all of these different waves and undercurrents going on. There was so much going on with jobs and layoffs and things to do with entertainment was kind of like still entertainment, but we did, like I said, we had the push towards TikTok. You had a lot of more backlash towards celebrities and their past actions and things along the lines of that. But essentially, we were entering this new era, right? We were entering this period of people slowly shifting and growing and turning into this new wave, this new environment. People were trying to explore and become different, and they didn't know yet. They didn't know what was to come yet. They didn't know that the reflection period was going to come. You know, they didn't understand what was on the horizon. So that Neptune and Saturn aspect to each other is kind of an accumulation point. And I think that's sort of like this relationship. It's like you may meet this person and they shock you in all the best ways, but you don't realize just what's on the horizon or just what's in store for you with this relationship, just how much you'll be unpacking, just how much you two will experience together, just how life-changing and transformative this relationship will be in your life. Really quite amazing. Really feels like the rise of something different. I love that you two are setting your own standards for what you find comfortable and what brings you happy within your relationship. You may even be pulling away from the advice of other people. There's almost even like when you have this, a sense of nostalgia too, because Saturn's like, oh, I want to look at the past, and Neptune's like dreaming away and dreaming of the past and things along the lines of that. So maybe this is like connecting to past lives, and maybe this person just feels familiar to you. Maybe you're like, you know, you feel like a dream, like that song, you know, I know you, I walked with you once upon a dream. It feels like that to me. Like it feels mystical. But that is what I have for you, pile number 2. Hopefully this resonates. If not, feel free to choose a new pile. I think I covered everything that I needed to cover. If I didn't, you know, we've been talking for a long time, guys. So I'm just gonna have to move on. I thank you for stopping by. If this pile doesn't resonate, feel free to choose a new pile or choose a new reader. Either way, I'm happy you stopped by. And if you want to get a question from me, if you want to ask a question and say, hey, I have a question, I want to ask you about something, Brandi, all you have to do is head on over to those lives. I go live every Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Check out the time I go live on the community tab. I post it by Tuesday night Eastern Standard Time. And that is all I have for you. Thank you for watching. And don't forget to let me know what you think. And I'll see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pal. Number 3. Let's get started on the complete story of your soulmate. We have Novice of Lightning Exploration. We have the King of Swords. We have the Hierophant. We have the King of Swords again. Someone really wants to know you, wants you to know that they are very King of Swords like. We have the Page of Wands, and we have Uranus. I love how we have all these people type of cards. Perhaps this is a sociable person. But before we get into all of that going on here, I do want to roll these Astro dice. So let's give this a good roll. One already came out. Wow, that one was bursting. We have the Sun in Aquarius in the 8th house. All right, Sun in Aquarius in the 8th house. We all know that is about illuminating all of the fears, all the traumas, all the anxieties. All of your inner world is just lit up. So that 8th house deals with those connections to the past from your childhood to how you act now as an adult. What do we mean by that? That means if you weren't given love and attunement and affection in your childhood, perhaps you developed an avoidant personality, or perhaps you became socially anxious, right? Or just anxious in general. That can happen as well. You know, in more extreme circumstances, if you've had parents who were unreliable, who may have had substance abuse problems and things along the lines of that. This can develop into something more extreme like borderline personality things, and things along the lines of that. Obviously, I am leaving out a lot of nuance, but this is what we're talking about when we talk about the 8th house. How does your childhood lead up to now? And when we have this Sun in the 8th house in Aquarius, what we know is this person is very aware of how their childhood affects their current state of being, which we can actually see also with the King of Swords. The King of Swords deals with not only just your ability to strategize and think towards the future and make analytical decisions, it also deals with areas having to do with emotional intelligence. You can be rational and smart and da-da-da all you want, but if you don't know yourself, if you don't know why you think the way you think, if you don't know whose voice is in your head, if you're just sitting here just like, I'm so fat, I'm so da-da-da, like you have a lot of like negative thoughts or something like that, it's like, is that your voice or is that the voice of the people who bullied you in your childhood? You know what I mean? The King of Swords is here to make those connections, who's here to connect the dots. And so you have a soulmate who's very good at connecting those dots. They know who they are. They know where these thoughts come from. They know why they act the way they act. They know why they feel the way they feel about certain things. They know why they believe what they believe, especially with the Hierophant here. That is all about those belief systems. That's all about those values. And what's interesting here is that we have 2 houses kind of dealing with values. Like the Hierophant connects to Taurus, which connects to the second house, which is things you value. And the 8th house connects to other people's values. So something about this relationship is dealing with understanding what is important to each other. Something tells me more than likely you two don't always all the way value the same thing or see things from the same perspective. You're both bringing your very unique perspective into things. That's why we got this Uranus energy and also this Aquarius energy, obviously the modern ruler and tropical astrology of Aquarius, connecting to being innovative, being different, being unique, you know, being an alien superstar, whatever the heck. It's just about being your own person, okay? And so something tells me that you two have some certain ways of thinking, ways of doing things that are just a bit different from each other, but it doesn't seem to be an obstacle. I mean, when we have this King of Swords, the Hierophant, and the King of Swords again, it looks like you are communicating through these matters, and it looks like that this does become a theme obviously throughout this relationship and soulmate connection, but it does seem to be like it seems to work out okay. I'm not going to say that there aren't arguments, because the Page of Wands can definitely be someone who jumps the gun, who just jumps to conclusions, who can get into little bickering matches, right, and be a little shady sometimes. But for the most part, since we have these two level-headed cards, it's like, okay, I see your perspective, you see my perspective, and you guys are doing a lot of talking things out and talking things through. Hello, we didn't even talk about this. Oh, that was my alarm, guys. My goodness. Anyway, I guess that spirit trying to confirm what I was about to say, which was we didn't even talk about this person's character, which is essentially, well, we didn't talk enough about this person's character. Like, we already got into how they have that emotional depth to them, how they have a very fair and balanced perspective, how there's somebody who is very communicative. I don't think we've talked about that. This person is a highly communicative person, and they're more than likely going to be open about the things that they think, how they feel, maybe even things that people aren't normally open about, or in the way that is acceptable to say. You know, things along the lines of like, hey, I don't like how you said that. That hurts my feelings, or that hurt my feelings. Most people don't talk in that sort of healthy communication style, but this person is aware of that and will do their best to have a sort of fair and balanced and communication style. They are very goal oriented, and they like to think of how they can keep things, you know, pleasant, and how they can keep things honest and balanced within the relationship. So they are pretty thoughtful in that way. They're also the type of person who will know you on a deeper level. This person might also have a interest in the occult and occult sciences and things along the lines of that, with that Aquarius sun going on here. We definitely have somebody who is very future-oriented, very high-minded, very much like, I need to think about the future and how things are going to progress. Like, when you have this combination of cards, it is always about innovation, okay? It's always about the next 5 steps, 6 steps, 10 years down the line. It's always about end game, end goal that's going on here. And I say this because that is what the King of Swords does, and that's what a sun in Aquarius does. They think about what can I do in the long run or long term to live the life that I want. It's not about like, how can I secure a job today to pay my bills? That may be part of the goal, but it is not the overarching mission. Everything has to align with this longer term goal, whether that is, you know, financial freedom, or just having a job you love, or it doesn't have to even be job related. It could just be, hey, I really want to be able to have more free time to go hang out with my friends, and I've got to figure out a way to structure my life so that happens. So this person is always thinking about, how can I make sure that I have the future that I want? How can I make sure I secure the future that I want? Maybe even thinking along the lines of, how can I do that for my children, family, whatever the case, I say that because we have the Hierophant. They may even be thinking like, how can I do this for my community? How can I give back to my community? How can I make sure other people are informed of these changes? How can I make sure other people are bettering their lives? Because that's what the King of Swords does. They want to be able to contribute to other people and not just themselves. You know, they're not this completely selfish card here. We do have an energy that is very much, what's the word for it? They're very much a humanitarian, right? That's the word we want to use when it comes to these vibes. A humanitarian vibe. How can I look out for other people? I'm sure you've heard that before, but that is exactly what they're thinking in terms of like, how can I make sure other people understand that maybe going a traditional route of like school, college, job is probably not going to get you the same benefits as it would 20 years ago? How can I get people to understand that their job as a citizen is to beat inflation? And more than likely, you're probably not going to be able to keep up with inflation if you're working a normal 9 to 5 because wages have stagnated. But inflation has not. So it's just about like, how can I look out for other people around me? How can I make sure other people understand what is covered under insurance? How can I make sure other people understand how do you go about buying a house? And how do you make sure you not end up house poor? And how do you make sure that you are following the steps to ensure that you are living a comfortable life? How can you make sure that people are having an emergency fund? It's a very practical mindset this person has, but it's also a mindset that allows them to prepare for emergencies. I feel like there's so many things that have gone on in this person's life in which they are now prepared to handle these emergency situations because they've probably been through so many of them. I just want to say that because there's a lot going on here. There's a lot going on here. When we have this combination of cards, this Uranus energy, when I see this, it is all about a shift in focus, kind of like how I was saying before with the innovation. It's just highlighting this person's innovative way of being, wanting to be free, wanting to not to have less boundaries, wanting to have less restrictions, wanting to have less oversight. They do not like if somebody is just like on their back all the time. Like they like their freedom, they like their space. The King of Swords likes their space. So if you're looking for a soulmate to be particularly more so intertwined and things along the lines of that, that is not what this soulmate is about. This soulmate is like, hey, I love spending time with you, but I need time to just pull back a little bit. Like I need my little corner to be in. I need to decompress. I need to be by myself. Don't get me wrong. This person, like I said, has plenty of social skills. They have plenty of friends, I think for sure. They know a lot of people. They are very much communicative. Even if they don't have a lot of friends, because it's not like Aquarius energy all the time represents like, I have tons and tons of friends, which you may get a lot. Sometimes it's like I have people who support me. So you may have somebody who has like a huge fan base. You may have somebody who's a content creator, and they may have 0 friends in real life, but they have like a star quality to them where they become relatable and charming. It's very like Aquarius type of vibe. I've seen that quite a bit, where like you'll see them say, hey, in real life, I have no friends. And then like online, they have like this massive following. So that's something that's a very Aquarius vibe. So they do have that ability to charm people, that ability to tap into, you know, the wave, the frequencies that everyone seems to be on. I was going somewhere totally different, but you know, we're going with the flow here. We're going with the flow here, like very Aquarius vibes. They are someone who is likely going to be a very traditional, serious type of person, especially with the Hierophant. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, there's areas where they're pro-innovation, where they're pro-change, especially if it has to do with bettering people's lives. But with the Hierophant there, they're not exactly, you know, innovation when it comes to every little thing. Like that's just not them. If they see a way to better people's lives and better communities in a way that can be majorly transformative, then they are all for that. But if it's some sort of institution that's in place that seems to be working, that seems to be beneficial, and doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to change, they're not for that. They're not for that. The Hierophant is very much like, let's follow the structure, let's go by the book, let's stick to the hierarchy, let's be very professional, like very much so, okay? And it's kind of interesting because this person's personality, it's almost like they're not like the most casual person, okay? They're not a person who is, they're not someone you would think is common. Like they're not like a very like blue collar everyday man or woman type of energy. Like the way that they communicate, the way that they choose to express themselves comes across as very thoughtful, very professional, very well spoken, very eloquent way of speaking. And it's going to be pretty rare that you get them to talk in almost a lowbrow type of way. Like it's not like they can't, but for me with these cards, that does seem to be like a last resort. Like with this Page of Wands being the last card, it's like this is the type of person you may rarely see curse. Like that is, it's super rare that you may see this person curse. And I didn't even get into this Novice of Lightning. I didn't get into this Novice of Lightning exploration here. I mean, I sort of got into it because we kind of talked about the other cards and the cards kind of repeat themselves. We already talked about how like this person wants to be out there and be able to experience life, and they don't like this heavy cloud or burden or bureaucracy over their head tying them down. But they do like structure. They just don't like having someone tell them what to do. They're more so like, you can give me some lessons, you can guide me, you can give me some tips, but overall, like, I'm the King of Swords, like, I'm gonna do what I want to do. So that's like how their vibe is, like, don't hold me down, don't tell me I need to do something, right? Novice of Lightning here, and I'm guessing that is the same as like the Page of Wands, if I'm gonna be honest. But really that has to do with their sense of adventure, their sense of willing to go out there and have fun, the sense of trying to break away from expectations that others may have for them. Like I said, if it doesn't make sense, if it's holding them back, if it's not allowing them to truly express themselves, and you know, if it's not harmful, they're just like, why can't I just do what I want to do? Why can't I'm not hurting anyone? It's very much that type of vibe here. Page of Wands is definitely the type of card that is always open and willing to try something new. They always keep an open mind. They always have this free spirit. They're almost like, I want to go travel. I want to go on a trip. I don't want to stay. The Page of Wands, man, the Page of Wands hates staying in the house. You know, don't get me wrong. They may love working remotely, but if you're just like, let's stay in the house all day, all weekend, this person's not having it. Like, this is a stir crazy type of person, type of energy. Like, I get bored quickly. I want to move on. I want to do things. I want to explore things. I want to live life. I want to enjoy myself. I want to have a good time. I don't want to be caged in. I don't want to be caged in. I don't want to lose myself. I don't want to lose my sense of freedom. I don't want to lose my sense of identity. So they're not the type of person to lose their sense of identity within a relationship. If we get into how you two may possibly meet, I feel like the circumstances are going to be really unexpected and very random when it comes to this. Either that, or it's going to be like online dating, because we have that Uranus feel to it, or something connected to like online. You know, some people meet through like Reddit forums. Some people meet through like online gaming. Some people meet through, I don't know, Facebook, and whatever the case may be, but it's some type of online environment. That is quite a possibility. Sometimes it might even be like You meet through like online education. So if you have some sort of async learning situation going on here, then that can be representative of saying, okay, we're meeting online. I see a classmate, this person looks cute. And I say that because we have the Hierophant, and the Hierophant represents institutions and things along the lines of that, and school, teaching and learning. It could literally be like church. It could literally be, I'm trying to think of a traditional institution, a workplace environment. These are the basic kind of traditional institutions. The Hierophant is very much like kicking it old school, but like I said, with that Uranus vibe, I don't know, maybe it's like old school with a twist. Okay, so that's the only reason I bring in the online aspect to it. But if it's not an online environment, then like I said, it's probably just going to be something that's very unexpected and different, especially since we have the novice of lightning. You know, this is like, I'm in a new circumstance, I'm in a new place, I'm in a new position, I'm doing something that is unexpected. You know, I am venturing out, I'm putting myself out there, I'm in a social situation, I'm talking to people, I'm navigating, I'm making moves, I'm not sitting still. So very much a very lively type of environment in which you will meet this person. There will be a lot of people around. This is giving big gathering, or just definitely more than 5, 10, whatever people, because there's a lot going on here in terms of like where you two are meeting. There's just a lot. There's just more people around. It seems like a busy environment that's going to happen here. And obviously, this person is likely going to approach you because we have this novice of lightning twice with the Page of Wands here, and they have the King of Swords twice. Isn't that funny that we kind of have the same symbology coming up twice here, really telling you about their character, where they can be kind of impulsive, but they're so good with their words. So, you know, maybe sometimes they let the intrusive thoughts win, right? So they have that sort of like childish side to them as well. But I wasn't trying to go there with that. What I was trying to say is that they may be someone who's going to approach you first. They see you, they like what they see, they want to come and talk to you. With the King of Swords, they're more than likely going to talk your ear off. Don't get me wrong, the King of Swords does leave space for a normal, natural conversation, and it's going to flow pretty well. Like I said, the conversation, because of the way this person chooses to talk, is not going to be anything outlandish or wild, you know, something like that. Like they said, they're going to keep it very professional. They're going to keep it very like polite, like that. The conversation is going to be very polite. You may not even get that there's a lot of flirtation right away. Or that they're flirting with you. They may be very subtle with that. The King of Swords can be a little bit more witty when they're trying to like flirt, so it may not always be as obvious when it comes to that type of flirtation. But then, you know, if they feel like you're not getting it, they're going to apply pressure, right? With the Page of Wands here, they're just like, let me spell it out, right? What's your number, right? And so that is possibly, that's what's going on here. Okay, I just want to keep that in mind. I will say though, with this pile of cards here, there may be some impulsive spending. It's interesting because we do have the King of Swords, and usually the King of Swords is a little bit smarter with their money. But when it's surrounded by these two cards here, maybe they just have a few impulse things that they're just like, I gotta buy this. This is something I've always wanted in my childhood. I want to collect, I want to spend $300 on Legos or something. Like, you know, people say those adult purchases that you finally get to make and live out your childhood fantasies. That is what this energy is giving with these cards here. It's all about like, okay, every now and then I'm going to purchase something that is kind of expensive, but also silly and a little bit childish and a little bit just more playful and just something I'm interested in and something I find that's fun. It's not necessarily something very, very serious, but I enjoy it and it makes me happy, right? So I'm going to do that. I'm going to invest my time and interest in that. Sorry for the cutoff pile number 3, but I will say with this reading here, you do have someone who is likely wanting to be more involved if you two were to have a family. Family is very important to this individual. And with this Uranus energy going on, you have this aspect happening for millennials and Gen Z. I'm trying to remember. I think it's probably a trine for millennials and I think a sextile for Gen Z or something along the lines of that, depending on where you fall. But this energy is more so a shift of how can we do things in a healthier manner. So things along the lines of having like more paternity leave for obviously new fathers. That is something that has happened with this Uranus energy going on, in particular with millennials and things along the lines of that. What you have is, I believe Pew Research saying that millennials tend to be more like involved in the lives of their children's than previous generations. And obviously Gen Z is a little bit still young, but I'm sure there are some, depending on where you are, who have who are parents as well. And more than likely they follow the same trends. So this is what I'm talking about when I say that there is an element of innovation and growth, meaning like, okay, I'm going to actually be more nurturing and more positive when it comes to fulfilling my role as a parent and being more balanced and being more fair. But at the same time, they still have a very like traditional mindset with the Hierophant there. Like certain things are just like, we don't need to change everything, right? That's just the way that they feel. Okay, so that's very, very important for them. Honestly, I really do feel like this is a highly successful person. As I said, yeah, maybe there's some impulsive spending here and there, but for the most part, they're smart about their money. And they're somebody who works very, very hard. I mean, with this King of Swords here, it would be unusual if they weren't successful. It really would be. And if you look at what's going on in their life right now, if you look at what's going on in their life right now, they're having a lot of revelations when it comes to possibly financially restructuring things. I know the 8th house, we already kind of dealt with the emotional state, but sometimes the 8th house just rules like money and investments and things along the lines of that. So it can represent how you decide to spend and invest your money. So example, you get a check every week, every 2 weeks, whatever, every month, who knows. And you decide to split that check up into like bills, savings, emergency funds, investments, 401ks, That is very 8th house energy because it's dealing with not just you putting your money solely in a savings account, but then you have things you're exchanging with other people and their money. So if I go to a store and I buy a pack of Skittles, then I am exchanging my money for some corporate and putting money into a corporation's pocket, right? So that's that 8th house exchange going on there. So what I mean to go into when I talk about all of this stuff is right now in their life, they're kind of reassessing their budget. They're reassessing their finances. As I mentioned, this person is very future oriented. They don't have much drama going on. Don't get me wrong with this Page of Wands energy. It can create some restlessness, and idle hands, they say, is the devil's playground. So yeah, they may stir up some trouble for themselves, but it's going to be something of their own doing. It's really not something that's going to come for them. So if they're smart about it, then they won't stir up trouble and they'll focus that energy on something productive, which these cards show that they're smart. So I don't think that that's what's going to be happening in terms of their actions right now. It's really about trying to take a proactive approach when it comes to managing that side of their life. They're thinking about, how can I move towards the future? How can I make sure that I'm accomplishing my goals? How can I make sure that I am using my inheritance for something? I don't know. It depends. Like, they might have a trust fund. They might have an inheritance. Maybe they've just come into that and it just hit them like this lightning, right? That happens, I think in one video I was talking about how Uranus was sort of symbolic for like how it's connecting to how there's like this great wealth transfer from like baby boomers to Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, whatever the heck. And it's going to be happening over the course of a certain period. And when we have this sun in the 8th house, your Aquarius thing going on here, more than likely they might be coming into a time period where they're receiving some sort of inheritance, or they're receiving some money from someone, or something's being passed down to them, and they're trying to figure out what to do with it. And it's more than likely from a family member or somebody really close to them, especially since we have the Hierophant, which represents community, and things along the lines of that. But it really is about them trying to assert control, assert power over money, or over their mental weaknesses is what I want to say, because the 8th house deals with addiction. So things along the lines of, like I said, they have like that impulsive spending thing going on a little bit. And so they may be going through this phase in their life where they're just like, let me learn to actually try to control that, because I can harness this energy that I have and actually use it for long-term planning and building more creative ventures. And so that's something that they are working towards. You know, you have ups and downs and things along the lines of that. That's just an example that may not even be that. It could just be some other initiative that they have going on regarding themes of the 8th house. This can also represent just personal power that they are dealing with and trying to find more confidence within themselves. It's like, I know I'm smart, I know I'm capable, but I'm not quite sure if I truly and fully believe in myself. And that's something that they could possibly be working on. Their inner power, their inner sense of wealth, their inner sense of accomplishment is something that more than likely is going on with them. So that's something that is possibly happening within their lives. Obviously, this connection involves a lot of, I guess, interesting circumstances. You know, when I look at these cards going on here, obviously, a lot of these piles have a lot of Uranus and Aquarius type of energy, and I think that is fascinating. When I see this type of energy, I see innovation. That's mainly what Uranus does. It's unpredictable. It's sporadic. It's surprising. It's like a blast from the past sometimes, depending on what's happening. Sometimes it is sort of like pushing yourself, depending if it's like a square or a sextile. If it's a square, it's like I'm pushing myself to challenge myself and to learn something and to try something new and to push myself in a direction I feel uncomfortable in. And so part of this relationship is kind of getting you out of your comfort zone. You know, it's going to feel a little bit different for you. It's going to feel like you're in new territory and uncharted waters when you are with this person. And that could be possibly a very, very good thing. It's refreshing, it's exciting, it's unexpected. That's like the theme of your relationship. Expect the unexpected, you know, things along the lines of that. Like this novice of lightning, it's like this person hits you like lightning. And it's kind of amazing because this feels like the type of relationship where neither one of you like get tired of learning more about each other. It just feels like there's always more to learn. There's always more internal when it comes to the two of you. Like you both feel like it's never ending when it comes to getting to know each other and developing and growing over the years. Like you have a very strong understanding that you may never get to fully and completely know each other in and out, because I don't know, something about this feeling of being discovered over and over and over again. You both feel like there's just so many layers to each other, and I think you'll understand each other quite well. There's a very strong sense of mutual understanding between the two of you, and an excitement to constantly get to learn more about each other, to grow together, to evolve together, to go through unexpected, surprising situations together. And you're going to have a lot of support when it comes to your family, your friends. Like your friends are going to be like, I like this girl, I like this guy, you know, and things like that. And their friends are going to say something along the lines that's similar. Like I said, there's this strong feeling of community when it comes to you two. And it feels like there's this automatic acceptance. There's not much resistance coming from outside of the home environment or anything along the lines of that. And I really do feel like you'll particularly take to their family, only because we have this sun in the 8th house, and this is the house of in-laws. So it really feels like their family feels like this eccentric cousin that you have never met before, but you guys instantly vibe with. Like, that's kind of like what the feel of their family is. But I really do feel like you're getting a lot of confidence boost. You're getting a lot of respect. You're feeling like a sense of belonging when it comes to their family. Something about you connecting with their family, their community, their friends feels like home to you, or just feels like you feel excited. You feel like this is where I belong. And I don't say this. You can go look at the other pals. I do not say this with any other pal. You can look at my other readings. This is just uniquely to you, pal number 3. This is very interesting how you have this sense of like, oh, I really like your family. Your family really likes me. I love your mom. I love your dad. I love your brothers, sisters, friends. Like, it feels like I found my tribe. It feels like I found my community. I think you're the one for me. Like, that's what it feels like. But this is definitely beneficial. This is definitely growth happening. This is definitely, I'm trying something new. This is definitely being bold. And I can't emphasize enough how much this person is going to push you out of your comfort zone. And a shift is about to like happen within your life. It just feels like this person is going to, you know, show you the world like Aladdin and Jasmine or something like that. Like, it just it feels like I'm opening your eyes, right, to something. But that is what I have for you, pal number 3. All right, that is what I'm going to leave you with. Going in, you know, we can go on forever when it comes to how you guys, you're drawn through each other through conversation. I'll say that. And this person has a very pleasant voice. That's something else I will add to that. And they are likely to talk a lot with their hands. And very animated self-expression is what I have here. And they're always the type of person who's like, we listen, we don't judge, like that TikTok trend. Like, that's their whole vibe, right? But that's all I'm going to throw out there. You know, I don't want to sit here and talk for like 5 hours about this relationship and everything that is going on. Obviously, this person is like hippie vibes to a certain extent, very accepting of other people. But like I said, they do have their own personal beliefs that, you know, you two are going to adamantly discuss. And it's going to work out. It's going to work out. This is obviously a beautiful thing that's happening here. Very serious from the jump. Like, very serious. This is not, I don't think they know how to fully keep things casual. Okay? So that is what I have. I'm ending it. I'm finally ending it. And hopefully this resonates. If not, feel free to choose a new pal or maybe a new reader. Either way, I'm happy you stopped by. Don't forget, if you really have a burning question to ask me, then join our live sessions. They're fun. They are great. I have a good time. The astronauts have a good time. And I hope to see you there. I go live either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. That time is posted on the community tab. And I don't think there's anything else I really need to say. So I'm going to end it, and I'll see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pal, number 4. Let's get started on your reading. We have the Tower upheaval, the 10 of Swords, the Sun, the Devil, the Moon, and Moon and Mars. But before we get started on the complete story of your soulmate, we've got something special. We got something special. It's the Astro Dice. Let's get into this. I want to really get the... We've got the 7th house. Cancer and Pluto. Some of you probably have that Pluto in your 7th house going on right now. Or maybe you have a Cancer 7th house, you know, maybe you're a Capricorn rising. So what we need to know here is we're going to get to the straight off the bat, like, who is this person? Like, what's going on with their personality? What's happening here? And this person is very much like this tower upheaval energy. Normally I don't start with the cards, but since Pluto kind of aligns with that upheaval energy, only because Pluto and Mars both rule over Scorpio. Mars is the traditional ruler, and then in Western astrology, tropical, people often use Pluto. So they have very similar energies of upheaval and transformation, particularly because this is going on in the 7th house, and it has all the way to do with relationships. In my experience, that Pluto energy, that Pluto energy in any house is so extreme. Pluto is probably, you know, stricter than the planet Saturn. And we all know people are scared of those Saturn returns and Sati, and oh my God, Saturn's coming through, big bad Saturn. Big bad Saturn has nothing on Pluto. Pluto is one of the most intense destructive energies, and also one of the most intense elative energies, meaning ultimate happiness, bliss type of energy. It's like almost like drug addiction. I mean, I guess that's why we have that devil card here, but it can represent like this high. That's an incredible high. It doesn't have to be unnatural or forced or coming through some substance, but it can represent that. So when we have that, when it comes to this person gets a lot of joy, a sense of fulfillment, maybe even a part of their identity through their relationships and through their partnerships. And I think because of that, they've gone through a lot of different situations, which may not have always been the most ideal situations. There's been a lot of learning curves when it comes to setting boundaries and having, you know, respect for themselves, and, you know, maybe even learning to navigate other people's needs and respect other people's wants and desires and things along the lines of that. Like, this person has had to have a whole entire upheaval about how they approach relationships, and they may even be going through that now. Like, they may even be coming through these realizations now. One thing that I have seen is sometimes when people have transits to the 7th house, it can be quite reflective. Only because it deals with the house of other people, and a way to sort of understand yourself more is through the lens of other people. So sometimes when I see those transits to the 7th house, I can see people sort of like enter therapy or enter some sort of group that helps them grow in terms of self-realization and self-awareness. And so when we have this going on here, this person is sort of developing a stronger understanding of their emotional and mental needs and how it connects to possibly their childhood, their past, and things along the lines of that. This person takes their relationships very seriously, but they understand that they may have had some sort of traumas or areas in which they need to work on in terms of relationship. Not everything's traumatic, but, you know, definitely with this combination here, something has got to give. Something needs to be tweaked just a little bit, right? To say the least. And what this also says about this person's personality is that they are someone who truly values close and intimate relationships, and they can be pretty strict on the type of people that they're going to let into their life. That Pluto energy is not exactly inviting. They're not saying, I'm going to let any and everyone in to my being, my space, my time, my energy. Pluto is going to quickly filter some people out, and it may do it in a way that is chaotic. The interesting thing is I have not done like a Pluto conjunct planet series, but I know Pluto people. I actually kind of looked them up quite a bit, because they're always doing, like, actors with these placements will always do like these very intense roles, kind of the things that you might expect. Like, you might expect somebody with this strong Pluto aspect to do like a drug role, or play somebody who's like a abuse victim, or somebody's been like a stripper and things along the lines of that. And that is true. They play all of those roles. I'm not kidding. That comes up a lot. So if we're going to talk about somebody and their personality, they may be used to dating people who may have questionable character, right? Like, I'm not gonna lie. And the reason that this becomes important and the cards and spirits are mentoring that is because people's past dating experiences does affect how they approach their relationships today. So this person who is your soulmate has gone through some experiences with people that has probably led to a lot of, I don't know if I want to say baggage, but they definitely have a way of thinking that they have carried with them because of this relationship. And more than likely, it may stem or cause like trust issues. It may have caused them some insecurity. And I think this is going to come up in your relationship, and that's why it's sort of being mentioned by spirit right now. It's not saying, hey, this is a terrible person, avoid them. It's saying this person has been through some wild experiences that may have led them to have some trust issues. You know, we could be very Risa Tisa out there. You know, sometimes people encounter pathological liars or narcissists, and then now they have to be extra careful about how they approach relationships because they have that trauma with them, right? And so the cards want you to know that this person has not been through usual typical circumstances when it comes to relationships. And because of that, when it comes to you two getting together, there may be some miscommunications, or this person may be a little bit more guarded than you may have liked them to be, or the thinking can be a little bit skewed. But this is overall a good person. I just want to say that this is a good person. It's just that they've had some experiences that have been tough, right? So that was one thing that I wanted to say. The next thing I wanted to say about this is that when we have this going on here, it can also represent that this person may get their confidence from relationships. And so being with you is going to help this person develop some sense of confidence within themselves. But don't get me wrong, this person still has their demons, but they feel like with this relationship with you, they will be able to develop some confidence. And I think also you yourself will have a rise in confidence. I don't want to make it seem like it's just a one-way street where they're benefiting from you. No, you're benefiting from them as well, you know, that you have this confidence when it comes to your charm or your magnetism. And the thing is, when I get the sun and the devil here, sometimes if we're going to look at positive traits between these cards, then this can represent having a sense of authority, a sense of leadership within yourself, because the devil card connects to Capricorn, right? And the sun card is also a card of leadership and guidance. And so something about this relationship, it feels like you both will get like a boost in a sense of self and a sense of direction, because it feels like I know what to do with my life. I know the direction that I want to go in. I know the path that I want to lead. And it's because of this relationship. This relationship has unveiled some things. This relationship has, you know, taking the rose-colored glasses off of my eyes, and it is giving me the real reality of relationships and what happens within them. Pluto is a really tough planet, guys. Like, when I see Pluto transits, because Pluto just switched into Aquarius, it's been there for so long, right? It's been there for so long. And if you look at where Pluto was, wherever it was in your chart, you can see that how it's made such a major change and shift within your life within that period. You know, like Pluto, for people in the 7th house, generally they will go through the worst of the worst situations with relationships and partners. And then by the end of that transit, generally they have found a new identity and they have been able to break away from these bad patterns and self-destructive people that they have often met during the time that Pluto's transiting their 7th house, right? And I feel like that's something to do with here. It feels like that your soulmate is at the ending point of that cycle when they meet you. So they're coming out fresh, you know? And I know it's at the ending point because we have this Ten of Swords too, to even reinforce that messaging that, yeah, but when they meet you, they're like, they've been through it all. Right? They've been through it all. They've been through every betrayal and everything. And you are like this sunshine on the other side. And to be honest, to some degree, they may feel like it's not true. And, you know, they may have some insecurities that they may have to deal with through this relationship. But I don't want to harp on that. I don't want to make it seem like, oh my God, we only have that. Positive things is this person is absolutely beautiful, extremely attractive human being. There's a lot of strong attraction, physical, maybe even mental. The devil can be very, very enticing. People more and you know, they're allured by the devil. Same with the moon card. The moon card has a feel of just seduction and, oh my God, there's this mystery element, and oh my God, there's a sense of secrecy, and that's feeling like, oh, that's interesting. This is a little mysterious. I want to learn more about it. So it's very enticing energy here. And so I know the physical parts of the relationship, this person's actual facade being physicality is very attractive to you. Like, you will find this person very attractive, and honestly, they too will find you extremely attractive. Moon and Mars energy, when I see that coming together, there's a lot of passion there, and there is a lot of we can't keep our hands off each other type of energy, right? With this combination here. And very, very sensitive person. I do want to keep that in mind. This person is a sensitive person. They do have a more casual way of dressing. I don't think this is more glamorous. When I see these cards here, it's more so like if they have a style, it's more so like street style, or something that's going to be like, let me show off my body, right? Something that's form-fitting. So I don't know why I'm talking about the way they dress. I guess that's just something that you might notice off the bat, right? Just maybe that's something that you notice about them. Generally, they have an intense vibe. I'm not going to lie. Very intense person. It's really night and day with them. It's night and day with them. Jacqueline Hyde. Maybe that Jacqueline Hyde is not a good example. That sounds like a psychopath. I don't think this person's a psychopath. But there's a lot of fluctuating emotions here, especially when we have Moon conjunct Mars. Mars is obviously that planet that deals with, you know, passion, anger, excitement. And if you see people who have like these Moon and Mars placements, or even if they have like a Mars ruled nakshatra, like if they're Moons and a Mars ruled nakshatra, they can go from being, you know, extremely calm to just like a huge reaction or something along the lines of that. Not necessarily meaning that this person is unstable in any way, but it can go from like very quiet to I'm super excited about this. Or like if this person could have a temper, that's quite possible. Not to say that this is the case for all of you. This might just be like 10%, 20%. Like, I'm not here to scare anybody, right? But it would be ignorant of me to say that this person may not have a temper at all. Like I said, maybe for 10% of you, 20% of you, this person might have a temper. I say that because we have Moon conjunct Mars. That's a huge placement for a temper. We have the Devil, and then we also have the Tower. And when you have those energies together, and also the Sun can pop off. It would be I wouldn't be being a very good tarot reader if I didn't say this person may have like a short temper, a short fuse. That doesn't mean that they are necessarily you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are going to show their temper in a negative way, right? There's positive and negative ways to show anger, right? You can be like, I'm mad, I'm gonna go draw, or I'm gonna go for a walk, or something along the lines of that. So that just depends on the person, right? You know, we know this person has a little bit of like a bad boy, bad girl type of vibe to them. There's just no way that they do not have that little bit of an element of a rule breaker here. Generally, they like to be honest. I don't know if that's to their detriment. It's actually interesting because it's almost like up front, we have this overly honest, oversharing type of energy here. But then on the bottom, we have like secrets and lies. And it's like, what's going on here? Like, I think maybe for some certain elements of their life, they're going to be extremely honest about, extremely upfront about. But it's possibly that, you know, the areas that they may struggle with, that they find to be uncomfortable, that they find difficult, they don't want to talk about that as much. And I think that's more than likely what's happening here. They may not want you to see their vulnerable side as much, especially with this Devil card here in the Moon. It's scary. It's uncomfortable for them. They don't like it. It just feels like, I don't want you to see these bad parts of me. That's the energy. Like, there's an energy of like, let me hide myself within a relationship. I want to show you the good parts of me. I don't want to show you the parts that are very uncomfortable or hard to deal with, or things along the lines of that. I mean, you have to remember that we have Pluto in the 7th house, and so it's like hidden relationship, hidden partner, hidden feelings. So they may even just hide feelings. Mars and Moon can also represent hiding feelings. Like I said, Mars is the original ruler of Scorpio. Scorpio is the house of like that hidden secrets and things along the lines of that. And so somebody with their Moon conjunct Mars has a lot of deep hidden feelings. Or even sextile Mars, square Mars, whatever that case may be, but there's feelings that are being hidden. And I don't think that this person is sharing all of their feelings. That's going to be something that you two may have to explore within your relationship. Just want to throw it out there. Your soulmate is a very romantic person. There's somebody who can get caught up in like the fantasy. Definitely somebody who loves like luxury. Like near me, I live in the DMV area, so there's a lot of like Michelin star restaurants. I feel like this is the type of person who would want to like take you to something like that, or be interested in going to those types of places, like very upscale, expensive, unique experiences, because the Devil card and the Moon is like things that are like kind of enticing or hidden or fun, or like things that can be more private or even just exclusive. Or the Moon card likes to deal with things that can be trendy as well. And so they want to be up to date on the things that are trendy. They want to be in the in crowd. They want to be in the inner circle. Like, so somebody who is going to go after those things that involve a little bit of external validation. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like I said, if you like, you know, luxurious, beautiful experience, if you're just like, hey, I love a Louis bag, they're like, me too, let me get you one, right? Like, that's this type of person, okay? So just keep that in mind. I will say with this combination of cards, sometimes they can be a little bit more of a risk taker when it comes to the money situation. Doesn't mean that they're broke, doesn't mean that they don't have money, doesn't mean that they don't have a good job. It just means that when I see this combination of cards, of the Moon, of the Devil, of the Sun, it's like, this person takes a lot of risks. I mean, the Sun's not necessarily like risk taker all the way, but the Moon and the Devil 100%. Same with the Moon and Mars. That's risk taker type of energy. For sure. So that makes me think that this person is more than likely taking some big risk, possibly with their finances, or possibly just in whatever the case that they're doing in life. They just might be someone who likes a thrill, likes a little bit of an adrenaline rush. Maybe they're just the type of person who jumps out of planes, or they rock climb up mountains or something like that. You know, they're not like, oh, I want to do the indoor rock climbing. They're like, no way, I'm doing the real outdoor rock climbing with a harness. Like, that could be them. So there may be some sort of thrill seeker energy when it comes to what's going on here and what you're seeing with this person's personality. More than likely, you two are going to meet in a situation that is completely and totally unexpected, especially since we have this upheaval Tower card. That obviously represents situations that are not exactly, well, they're not necessarily bad, but next to the 10 of Swords, I don't think this is going to be like a pleasant surprise situation. People meet in all sorts of different ways. So how you two are going to meet is not in a way that either one of you will be happy about the surrounding situations about it. You'll be happy to see each other, but it just feels like this situation is like, ugh, we're in line at the DMV or something. Like, very much like, oh, this is sucks, man. Like, something along the lines of that. But whatever the case may be, it's like we're meeting because of this situation going south, and this situation being something I don't enjoy, and I'm not a fan of this at all. Sometimes, you know, maybe it's like let's say you're both like introverts, and you end up being invited by someone to a party as a +1, whatever, and you're both just like, oh, I don't want to be here, I don't want to be here, I don't want to be here. Like, this is a sudden invite, you're doing a favor for a friend, and now you're both in this situation that feels like, oh, I've been upheavaled, I've been taken out of my home and into this environment, and I don't want to be here. But then you meet each other, and you're just like, oh, this person looks good, this person has a little bit of a pizzazz to them, this person is a smooth talker, this person's saying all the right things, I really like this person, and the vibes are there. When we see like this combination of cards, it does feel like there's going to be moments where the blindfolds kind of get like ripped off, and you'll get to know each other on a very, 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 very intimate level. And it's going to shock you, maybe the circumstances this person has been through, what's on their mind, the way that they think. And, you know, maybe they come across as a very, very confident person, but the more you know about them, the more you peel back the layers, and you're like, oh man, this person is actually a little bit insecure. You know, we're going to need to work on their confidence a little bit. Something along the lines of that. One thing that I love about this person is that they're someone who recognizes their weaknesses, and they are like a fighter. They're like, I'm fighting for this relationship. Moon and Mars here is like, I'm not going to give up on you. That's like one of the strengths. Like, it's like, I'm going to keep going until we are together, and we stay together, and we're on the same page, and we understand each other, and I have this commitment to you, and I'm putting in this energy towards this relationship, and this means so much to me, and I have so many feelings involved within this relationship. In fact, it's kind of interesting because when I see people who have like strong Mars placements, or even Moon and Mars rule nakshatra, or Moon conjunct Mars, they're the ones that always have like issues like letting go of an ex or something along the lines of that. And so it's like, I'm not letting go of this relationship. I think we belong together. I am all in, you know. And they're also a type of partner to maybe they get a little bit jealous of you. If you're flirting with someone else, you know, they're going to have a little bit of an issue with that. They're not going to like that. I have to mention that. And they're just like, I don't want that. Like, I don't like that. I'm not a fan of that. If they see someone who's like interested in you, they may call that person out. More than likely, they're going to say something just with these cards here. And then the little bit of like the 10 of Swords overshare type of energy, and the Pluto in the 7th house. It's like, I'm protecting this relationship. Like, so definitely a little bit of a jealous streak going on here. So definitely the type of person who may get jealous over you if they felt like someone was trying to take you away from them, or if they felt like they were losing you, or the relationship, or something along the lines of that. The connection is very intense. We already know that from the combination of these cards, the emotional intensity, the sense of wanting to be together. This may be one of the most clingy pals. I don't know if clingy is the best word, but the most we're together all the time pals I've ever seen in a reading. This is like, I want to spend every day together, night and day. Like, they're like, let's be bonded together. Like, very much so with this combination of cards. So keep that in mind. If you're not looking for that type of relationship, then maybe, you know, tell the universe to send you a different soulmate. Say, I don't want this one. I really do think that you're dealing with a very intelligent person. just because they have a few insecurities going on here and things that they're working on doesn't mean that they don't have a good spirit. I really truly feel like this is a good person trying to find their way out of the situations that they have experienced, and you may have to be a little bit patient with them in that regard, but they have such a strong devotion and connection towards you and a strong passion towards this relationship. And they really do feel like they get so much fulfillment. Like this relationship feels like a high to them. It feels like a sense of elation. Remember how I was talking about Pluto brings that feeling of, it could be like an all-time low or an all-time high. So, you know, any sort of like fighting would probably really devastate them within this relationship. But at the same time, when they're together, when you two are together, they get this feeling of total bliss, like this total feeling of happiness. And I really do feel like you'll get that too. Like it feels like when you're with this person, it is like this elevated feeling of like, I have never been so excited to be with another person. I've never felt such intensity, such deep emotions. This feels like unnatural, spiritual, connected to something higher. Like you're elevating outside of your body, outside of your spirit, you know. It just feels totally different. So I want to say that, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else that needs to be mentioned within this relationship. This person's not afraid to switch their career. I don't know if you need to know that. It's just a small thing where they may go through different cycles when it comes to different jobs or careers and things along the lines of that. They have no problem with leaving a situation that's just not right for them in terms of that sort of employment and things along the lines of that. And the same thing can be said about like if they find a routine is not working for them, if they find a diet is not working for them, if they find like the apartment is not working for them, they're going to find their way out of that situation. And not only that, I do want to say when it comes to their communication, they can have a very direct and sort of strategic way to thinking and going about things. Yeah, they may be a little bit of an overshare and sometimes they talk a little too much, but at the same time, they're very much like they like to get to the point most of the time. Okay. So when they first meet you, you may feel like, oh, they're talking quite a bit, but then the more you get them, the more you get to know them, the more you understand their flow, then I think they'll start to be a little bit more direct when it comes to their communication. They're going to start to be a little bit more like to the point. So I'm throwing that out there because I don't want you to think that this person is going to come across very cold, because sword energy can be very cold and very like, oh, okay, that was a little spicy, that was a little sassy. But this person, like I said, I do think that they probably have good intentions. Don't get me wrong, they definitely have flaws, who doesn't? But I really do feel like their communication is just way more direct. It's way more to the point. It's way more, this is how I feel. And they're going to, they would really struggle to try to be a little bit less direct. Okay. That it's going to be hard for them to be diplomatic is what I want to say. They rather just get to the point. They really would. So I want you to know that about their communication. And like I said, this person may have a little bit of a thrill seeker lifestyle, but very accomplished and motivated in that way. So internally motivated, someone who doesn't really need encouragement. Like you're not going to have to say, get off the couch. Like, no, this person is naturally motivated. They don't really need that type of encouragement in that way when it comes to achieving their goals. You may have to encourage them in different areas of personal development, but for the most part, this is like a go-getter when it comes to, I want to achieve what I want to achieve. Very much like focused like energy. When you have very militant type of mind, I'm going to get this done. I set my mind to it. It's better get it done now rather than later. Very much, I'm getting this done now. I want this done now. I don't have any patience for this. This person is impatient. So I do want you to know that. But last thing that's super important. I never say this, but this person's hilarious. This person is so funny. You're going to really laugh. You're going to have a good time. You are going to really enjoy this person's company. Very exciting person. Very funny. They're going to make you laugh your butt off. Okay. So I do want to say that with this particular reading, pile number 4, you're going to have an incredible time. Like I remember I said, despite all the things that may be going on within the relationship, you know, whatever ups and downs you face, this is something that feels, like I said, it's bringing so much joy and happiness within your life. The devil card and the moon and the 10 of swords is not always bad. Sometimes it's like I'm laughing so much my stomach hurts. Okay, so that's something that can happen here with this combination of cards. I do think that's a strong possibility. So that is what I have for you. Feel free to pick another pile if this doesn't resonate, or you can pick another reader. Either way, I'm very happy you stopped by. If you want to ask me a question, all you have to do is join the live session and you can get that question answered personally by me. We can expand on the details of even this type of reading if you want. So check it out. I go live either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. The time is posted on the community tab. And that is all I have for you. I'll see you next time. Au revoir. Hey pal, number 5. Let's get started on your reading. And I brought in some lovely little Astro dice. So let's give it a nice roll. We have Jupiter in Virgo in the 12th house. Okay, that's interesting. Now let's get into these cards too, and I'm going to interpret that as well. We have the 4 of Lightning, Homecoming. We have the Page of Wands. We have the 8 of Cups reversed. We have the 3 of Wands. We have the Death card, and we have Venus and Mars. Interesting. So let me pull these Astro dice a little bit closer. The complete story of your soulmate, pile number 5. So these Astro dice with Jupiter in Virgo in the 12th house. For me, obviously, this person has a very expansive inner world and imagination. Normally I get this sort of like Jupiter 12th house vibes to represent someone who spends a lot of time to themselves, reflecting, going over things, having situations play back in their mind. It can also deal with sort of like an expansion of trauma. Like it's not exactly like a fun thing, but it is something that I have seen reflective. We have to remember that when we have the 8th house, 12th house, and the 6th house, those are known as being more so the very, very difficult houses. And when Jupiter's there, it brings its weight into that area. So Jupiter is known as the planet of blessings, etc., but ultimately, Jupiter's goal is just to expand. So if you have it in like your 12th house, your 8th house, your 6th house, it can be expansion of trauma or conflict or challenges, okay? So this person we know has undergone some very difficult challenges, and the fact that it's also in Virgo, which connects to the 6th house as well. And they may have had to encounter people who, you know, betrayed them or etc., things along the lines of that, or just maybe they were rude, or maybe they got embarrassed somehow, because 12th house deals with shame and embarrassment and humiliation and things along the lines of that. So they have this past that's they are dealing with, and I think they are taking those steps to dealing with those things, because when we have this Virgo energy, Virgo may be about conflict, but it's also about finding solutions. You know, it represents healing. It represents how can I nurse something? How can I resolve something? So they know that they have encountered some emotional pitfalls or stumbling blocks or areas which may have been troubling and hard to sort of like digest and fully like move through. And so they have likely either actively done the work, are currently doing the work, or they are doing their best to try to move back past it and find a solution, whether that's going through therapy, whether that's, you know, meditation, whether that's some sort of spiritual church guidance, some sort of group, some sort of way. But it's definitely about how can I address these circumstances that I've gone through emotionally. I want to say that's the first thing coming up about this person. Second thing that comes up about this person is quite interesting. I think that they're well traveled. Now, my first thought would have been that they're from someplace else, that they're going to foreign lands and things along the lines of that. But we have this card Homecoming, and we also have this Eight of Cups reversed. So I don't think so. This is not someone who is completely from a foreign land. Now, they may have some sort of different belief systems or things along the lines of that, but more than likely you two share a nationality at the very least. Possibly they could be from a different culture, but like I said, when we get this sort of homecoming energy, this is like, hey, this person grew up in the same homeland as me, and we're very like under the same government. That's what this homecoming card is going with. But when we're coming to this person's personality, 100%, we know that this person, like I said, they have a lot of deep inner reflection moments. They need some private time to themselves. There's someone who likes to think before they act, strangely enough, with even though we have this Page of Wands. There's someone who likes the flair for like the dramatics in film and cinema, or just things that are like entertainment and fantasy, and sometimes it can even represent wanting to go towards escapism. And people escape in many different ways. Some people, you know, they do art, some people journal, some people, you know, do drugs or whatever. But like either way, it's just an aspect of their personality that just has, hey, I need a moment, I need a breather, I need to immerse myself in something that's a little bit outside of this daily reality, daily grind that's going on, because it can be overwhelming, it can be a lot. So we know that about this person. Very much needs their space, very much needs to be by themselves, okay? And then the last thing I want to say about this combination here is more than likely this person is very familiar with having to make some sacrifices in order to push themselves forward and gain the future that they want to have. Meaning this is someone who is not afraid to take a risk, not afraid to take a chance, and not afraid to honestly just go through some tough times to get what they want. You know, for example, you could be grinding away to save for some investments into ETFs or REIT stocks or something along the lines of that. And part of that grinding away is you have to save little by little. So instead of going out and ordering Uber Eats, you know, once a week, twice a week, or even every now and then, like, I have worked so hard for 6 months, so I'm going to treat myself to a lavish, expensive meal. They're not going to do that. They're going to continue to make that sacrifice and invest whatever little money they make, you know, $100, $50, $200, whatever. They're used to making those sacrifices. So you have somebody who's going to have a high level of emotional self-discipline. There's a lot of strong ability to emotionally regulate here. And overall, you have someone who is very thoughtful. You're definitely not going to be with someone who's very shallow. That's not going to be the case at all. There's also like a little bit of an air of a mystery to their character, but you know, we'll get into that a little bit later. So when we first thing, okay, sorry, there's a lot going on there. Cards were just like, finally, like I'm gonna throw a bunch of messages at you. First things first, I guess the cards want you to know that this person is an attractive individual, because we have this Page of Wands here, and I usually get that to be more of a sexy look. But then also we have Venus conjunct Mars, and that generally, if you have a Venus conjunct Mars synastry aspect, I'll do it from that, like your Venus conjuncts their Mars conjuncts your Venus, that means the attraction is at a high level. Okay, so that's one message, highly attractive to each other, you both for very. Two, it can also just represent someone being a very, very attractive person. And then sometimes I can get the Eight of Cups for some ways, in some regards, and I should say this actually should be reversed, the Three of Wands, because it's following the Eight of Cups. But sometimes I get this Eight of Cups to represent someone who is like so good looking that it's almost like they feel unreachable in a way, or like they can easily find someone else. Okay, like that's what I get. Now it's reversed in this position, which doesn't take away from the beauty of the card, because the Eight of Cups is still like, hey, I'm still moving on. It's just a little bit slower than usual. And so what I can see from that is maybe like part of the beauty is a little bit like hidden. Okay, and I think that makes a lot of sense given these cards here. When we have this 12th house, obviously they might physically just be someone who stays home a lot. I mean, we do have this homecoming card as well. And then the second thing is they may just prefer to pull away from the public eye. I know we have the Page of Wands here, but the Page of Wands is like, I'm growing in confidence. I'm not fully confident yet. So the Page of Wands is a little bit shy. And so there's something like to do with how they kind of put themselves out there in the world, where they're not as bold and maybe in your face or in the limelight, or pushing themselves towards attention in the way that they actually really could captivate and obtain if they really, really wanted. So they're not that type of person that's, I want to seek attention. This is very much like I'm pulling back. And then the second thing here, third thing I should say, because we've already kind of like talked about this. I don't know why this was so important, but it came up. All right, they want you to know about the appearance. The cards want you to know. The third thing is they may go through different transformations when it comes to their appearance throughout this relationships. These transformations are generally going to be positive. You know, they're going to have some sort of like little glow up, right? Eight of Cups here is just like, I don't really like all these options. I can find better. I think there's better out for me. But before I go out there and try to find some new options, I kind of need to level myself up. You know what I mean? For example, this is an easy example. Let's say you are looking for a new job and you're just like, you know what? I hate this job that I'm at. There's tons of other different jobs out there that I can work at. But in order to get the jobs that I want, I need to make sure that I'm taking on certain types of responsibilities at this job. I maybe need to take a second part-time job to level up my skills. I maybe need to take a course. I maybe need to network, but it's just more so like I need to sort of like improve myself first before I can go out there and seek these opportunities. And so when it comes to this person's appearance, they've got all the backbone or genetic code or whatever you want to call it, the DNA that creates a beautiful person. They're an attractive person, but they may need to tweak some things. The cards say you got to tweak some things. Maybe their style's a little bit, you know, funky. I don't know. It's something's there. Something's there. Maybe they just need a haircut, to be completely honest. Sometimes it's just as simple as that. Or just a different hairstyle, a different tweak to the look. Like, it's just, something's there, you know. It kind of reminds me of like just how all those tropes in movies, like you have like the girl who just takes off her glasses and gets contacts and they're like, oh my God, so beautiful. It may be even something as simple as that. So, but the cards wanted you to know that very much, I'll say this, a good balance of masculine and feminine energy, meaning very proactive, but at the same time, very much engaged in the social realms, meaning like they know how to accurately voice their concerns. They are really good at problem solving when it comes to conflict, and they have a mature way when it comes to handling conflict. So they're not exactly going to be like, let me get into a shouting match. That's not productive, and they know that. We have this Three of Wands reverse, and like I said, something about, you know, how we have another waiting card, similar to how the Eight of Cups, before when they're reversed, they're like, oh, I'm waiting for the opportunity to move on. There's just some things I need to take care of. There's unfinished business here. Similar with the Three of Wands, it's almost another waiting type of field. And then we also have like that Jupiter in the 12th house. So something about this person is very, very patient. Their personality is very, very patient. Okay, we talked a lot about their personality and stuff, but those are the things that just immediately rushed to me. But I'm sure you guys want to know, like, how you meet. How will you two meet? Honestly, this is probably going to be more than likely a social gathering. There's going to be plenty of men, plenty of women around in this type of situation. This is not a social gathering in which you are familiar going to. I say that because we have the Page of Wands. I usually get the Page of Wands to represent something that's new, something you haven't done before. So if you're used to going to like a certain type of event every year, this ain't that. This is something specifically different. Like, let's say you see an advertisement, like, oh my God, the other day I just saw an advertisement for, it was like at the French embassy was having like dinner and stuff, and gosh, what was it for? But they were having drinks, dinners, and games and giveaways and things along the lines of that. Now, me personally, I've never been to that at the French embassy, so that would be a new event for me to go to, right? Because it's not something I've been to before. But if it had been something I've been to before, and I'm like, oh, every year I go to this like giveaway dinner thing at the French embassy, then that wouldn't be Page of Wands. That's doing the same old, same old. So this is some place that you could have been to the place, but you may not have gone to the event. Or you could have gone to the event, but at a different place. Whatever, something about this event is new. Something about the circumstances new. So keep that in mind. This is not the same old that you have done. And like I said, I really do feel like it's a social event because the Four of Lightning connects to the Four of Wands, which is all about celebration and having a good time and a gathering. There has to be more than one person there for a gathering. We've got to at least have 4, 5, 6 people, you know what I mean? It's going to be lame otherwise. So that's something that I want to mention when it comes to that. And I really do feel like this is a little bit more of a private gathering. So maybe it's somebody's party. You know, a lot of people meet their friends and stuff through like birthday parties. Like a friend will host a party. They'll invite people. Those people might invite someone, a little plus one to come along. And then you end up meeting through that circumstances. And yeah, it was like a small intimate gathering. But you guys all like invited somebody, and thus that's how you met. But keep in mind, it's in that setting. Like I said, it's not a lot of people, but there's multiple people going on here. I know the connection's 100% instant. That's why we got this Four of Lightning here. The attraction is like that. Very much so, very focused type of energy. That Eight of Cups energy reversed is letting me know that it's almost like this, you remind me of someone. Like that's the thing that's both of you are going to feel. Like I don't know what it is. Could be past life related. Could be that. We do have death here, and that connects to Pluto, and Pluto connects to past life. It's like this vibe, this feeling like, I feel like I've been here before. So there's definitely that, some of that energy possibly going on, or maybe one or two of you just feel like this person reminds me of someone, right? Maybe you have a pattern. Maybe they look like an ex. Maybe they have certainly personality traits of an ex. I don't know. Hopefully it's the positive traits, right? One thing we have here when it comes to how they spend their time, this person has been planning something for a while. It's a specific task, something creative, something crafty, something interesting. And it's like they're waiting for the right moment to premiere it or push it out there in the world, especially when we have this Three of Wands. This person, it kind of makes sense, given that they have like this little analytical brain going on here. They don't like to push their projects, their thoughts, their creative ventures out too soon. They're very much like, ooh, how can I take my time with this? Does this look right? Does this match the aesthetic I'm going for? Etc. Things along the lines of that. Especially with Mars energy here. Mars can be very perfectionist. Venus can be very perfectionist. These two planets coming together, very much so, can be about like, how can we make sure that this looks beautiful? How can we make sure that this looks grand and fantastic and things along the lines of that. So keep that in mind when we see this going on here. And I know like just a week or two ago, Venus like tried Mars just in the sky, just generally. I think this was around January 25th. So you can even go back to that time period for you in your life, and that might be a specific message. But I know for me personally, this was a more so like, let me get out the house and go do something crafty and cute and interesting and new. So I feel like when in this relationship, you two are going to be doing like some very like cutesy activities together, but in a more closed off environment, if that makes sense. So maybe it's like, okay, let's book like a cute one-on-one, like, or two couples cooking class, right? And we're going to do that together. Or let's book a private trip somewhere where we're going somewhere together and there's not a lot of people. We're not going with big groups of friends. It's just you and me on this mission together that we're going to do and have fun together. But either way, the energy of Mars and Venus has to do a lot with creation and doing things along the lines of that. They may need a little nudge or push to put their efforts out there. And one thing that I noticed about that vibe and that particular day for me, when this Venus and Mars energy came together, like I said, I was crafting, I was doing things, I was getting out the house. I was like, oh my gosh, let me go decorate some cupcakes. But I noticed the mood of the day was like, I didn't actually want to go anywhere, which makes sense because Venus and Mars are kind of like the cosmic lovers, guys. So all they want to do is stay in bed and just love each other, right? That could possibly be the same in vibe of this relationship, where it's going to take a little bit more of a push for you guys to actually actively make activities for you two to do together. And when you do it, it's going to be fun. It's going to be enjoyable. It's going to be a good time. And like I said, it's going to be new, but it's going to feel like, oh man, we got to figure out something that we want to do. Neither one of us wants to be surrounded by like 100,000 million people. It's overwhelming. Let's find something that's really cutesy that the two of us can do together. Okay, just want to throw that out there. And it's all about being able to relax, to pull away from the burnout, to pull away from the stress, especially with Jupiter in the 12th house. It's like, I'm giving you more time to relax. I'm giving you more time to think. Something about this relationship is a little bit more relaxing, a little bit more, we take our time over here. We take our time to communicate and to do things over here. We show up late to the invites. If you invite us as a couple to come somewhere, we're going to show up late. I feel like when it comes to this connection, it's going to be a period of your life where you're not going to be as active. I say that because I remember one time I pulled this card, Four of Homecoming, Four of Swords, it was like a 4 card. And I pulled it in terms of timing for someone's like relationship. And basically what was going on is they didn't have a lot going on. Fours are all about kind of staying still, foundation, or even stagnation, you know? It's a period of lull, or like let's just rest here for a second, you know, like let's put our foot up, let's sit on this bench type of energy. And so the feeling, the vibes is the time period when you'll meet this person, you're going to be less active in your life. Whether that's something like I'm unemployed, whether that's hopefully not, I'm not going to wish that on you. Whether that's something where I'm working part-time right now, whether it's just like you pulling back in terms of hours that you work, you pulling back in terms of hobbies, you pulling back on your schedule, you making more time to relax, you making more time to just have fun. But it's not a very active energy type card. So I just want you to be aware of the fact that when you meet this period, when you meet this person, the time period that you will be in is not going to be an active time period of your life. This is not go-getter time. This is like, I'm not really doing much right now. Whether that's you forcing that break or something else going on here, it being forced upon you. Before I was so rudely cut off by my camera, I did want to go into a few more things, but I do need to be mindful of the time. Are they successful in general? I would say yes, they are a successful person, but there's some things that are going on in their life right now. We have this 8 of Cups and this 3 of Wands. These cards kind of represent struggling to move forward or to adapt or to grow in some way, along with the Death card having to do with a transition. It's almost like that either they have a fear of the unknown. Page of Wands can be very bold sometimes, like almost like overly confident. But then sometimes the Page of Wands has these moments where they are completely doubtful of their confidence. And that's because they don't have a strong foundation for what their confidence might be built in, right? So there's that going on. So it's either a lack of confidence that's holding them back, or they need to like process some things that they're going to right now. Possibly they might even, like, if you want to know what's going on in their life, they might actually even be going through a breakup right now. Like, if you really want to know that. But if it's not that, then definitely something that has to do with needing to fully get closure on something before they can let go of it and before they can move on. And then sometimes this can be a little bit too nitpicky about the right opportunities and shutting things down, or like almost like purposely self-sabotaging. But whatever the case may be, there's just some things that they have to work through. And it's interesting because we do have the 4 of Wands, or 4 of Lightning, which is all about like, okay, I'm celebrating this person, I'm celebrating this moment, I'm celebrating stability, I'm celebrating foundation. So it does represent having like a stable job or a career. In this case, I would say more career, because Wands represents something that is more like a skill, or something that's like you develop or you put effort and you grow, and it's connected to your essence and your being and who you are, which is more so like a career rather than a job. And so they have built at least a stable foundation for their career, but they have so much more to go in. And maybe this transition period where they're hesitating to sort of move and make that next move has to do with the next level in the ladder when it comes to their career, pivoting into a different direction. That happens, right? When you're just like, okay, I'm at this role and this one's pretty cool, but do I want to pivot to a higher role, or do I want to pivot to another field? You know, things along the lines of that happen. You could say, hey, do I want to be a I'm trying to think of a job. I can't think of jobs right now. Like, my brain is so let's say, you know, I'll think of my own field. Okay, you have project coordinators, you have project analysts, you have schedulers, you have all these different program managers. So let's say you are a project coordinator and you say, okay, I have leveled up to the point where I am being promoted to project manager. But is that something I really want? Do I really want to be a project manager, or do I want to be more specialized? And do I want to be a scheduler? Do I want to be someone who is somebody who focuses strictly on like emergency project management? Or do I want to go, maybe I want to stick to project management, but I kind of want to go to more agile, and I want to do marketing in a more technical, agile, scrum environment. Like, it's just wanting to be more specified, wanting to be more specific, wanting to grow in a different direction. And they're trying to figure out like what area to go in. And I think it's causing them to maybe even miss some opportunities or have some sort of emotional stagnation or even just frustration, because it feels to them, they're like, I just need more time to fully research before I just jump in. Like, I just can't do it. Because we already know they can't do it. They got this like reflective, analytical thing going on. Like I said, this person is very slow moving. very, very slow moving. And it's not fully. I mean, we don't have pentacles here. We do have a little Virgo energy. So then maybe that's like the main slow energy. But for certain things, they just need some time to digest. Okay? Digest. Don't know why I stuttered like that. But one thing I think that you'll recognize them is that they'll likely be somebody who's kind of very flirtatious, very playful, at least, you know, at whatever the space is that you're meeting in. Very much like, and they're not going to move about, you know how some people, like, you get introduced to them, you talk to them, and then you might like bump into them later at the party or later on the scene or the event or something like that. For them, they're not really moving. They want to specifically just kind of like talk to you. So it'll be kind of pretty obvious, if that makes sense. Like, if they start a conversation with you and they start flirting with you, they're going to continue to just stick there and talk to you, especially with these 2 card energies going on, right? But you do want to, you are dealing with somebody who takes a lot of risk, who's a big, bold risk taker. Even though they hesitate sometimes, even though they're going through a transitional period, they eventually will take that risk. We have Death card here, so we know the change is coming. They know the change is coming. It has to come. It's just the period that they're in. There's a lot to uncover. There's a lot to sort of unpack there at the moment. And so I feel like there's a lot of confusion going on in their life. And like I said, this might even just be like a breakup or something like that. But there's that. I think I might have answered everything that we wanted to answer. Your connection with this person is very lovely. I was just talking about earlier with the Venus and Mars connection, and how, you know, you would think that this combination of cards is like super proactive, high energy, and it can be, but it's only like when it comes to sort of like crafting. And while, you know, my camera cut off, like, I was reflecting all the times on which Venus and Mars kind of were transiting in the sky. And then, because I keep a notebook of things like that, where Venus and Mars is transiting in the sky, where it's for people or something like that. And, you know, things they might have told me about their day. And so what I noticed was like a pattern of like wanting to have like these lazy days. Like I said before, guys, like this is very much like, I'm not trying to do too much. I just want to hang with you vibe within this relationship. Very much like when you have this, and I know people who had this, and you would never catch them outside. Like their relationship was very much like stay home, and it's like very much this form of homecoming. So if you how do I explain this? Very much like this homecoming, homebody, like let's stay home, lie to bed, watch movies. If you're not looking for that, I'm not saying that's your entire relationship, because there's another aspect to this. So on the other days when it wasn't just like having these lazy moments, these lazy days, then it was like booking events that were more so unique and interesting, because you got to remember, Venus is that alien superstar. You know, it's like, I'm unique, I'm different. All these other planets rotate to the left, I rotate to the right. Like, you know, like Venus rotates in the opposite direction of every other planet, right? She's different. So what happens with these combination of placements is that you end up going to events that aren't particularly as well known or even as popular. It's not like something people commonly talk about all the time. So for example, I remember one time, and I'm just using myself for example, I booked this event. It was for I booked it on the day of a Venus and Mars, some sort of aspect, conjunction, etc. And it was an event for designer purse bingo. I know, crazy, right? It's like, what the heck is designer purse bingo, right? It's bingo you go to win designer purses. So I'd never heard of anything like that, but on that day, I booked this unusual type of event. And then I look back, and when I see these aspects in the sky, Venus and Mars coming together is about like booking these really kind of like off the beaten path, quirky type of events, or just events that people aren't like super talking about all the time. They're not like, oh, did you go to that super major Super Bowl Sunday football game? It's like, no, I went to I went to go snow tubing, or I went to go to a bookstore in which they had flamingos walking around. Like, I don't know, but it's usually some off the beaten path type of event with this Venus and Mars energy. And so when we talk about that in terms of your relationship, it's that you two are choosing to do these things, like when you go outside the house, that are a little bit more like, oh, that's unique, that's different, that's unusual, that's how you guys will spend your time together. And I really do feel like you'll bond over that. That's where I was going with the connection part. I feel like you'll bond over the fact that you have some very quirky type of interest, or things that you find that you enjoy that's a little bit different and unique in that way. And oftentimes I do get the Three of Wands to represent creativity, and you know, upright is usually representative of that. And usually Three of Wands can be represented reversed as like creative block. But I'm assuming like maybe in the beginning of your relationship, you guys are both still trying to figure out like, what's the vibe that you two want to do? Like it's almost like trying to figure out a balance between how you two want to go about this relationship. And it could be that just one of you is more like outgoing than the other, and the other person is more of that homebody type of energy. And so it's more so, how can we make sure that we're balancing both of each other's interests? I do think though it's going to pan out in the way that I said, where it's like, okay, we're spending a lot of our time at home, but when we do go out, we end up doing these quirky, unique things that aren't too overwhelming and doesn't feel like it has like a huge a crowd. Okay, there's something about like the lack of crowd here that is very important, very private type of energy. And there was something else I wanted to say. Oh yeah, Venus and Mars here. Last thing I wanted to say here is, I think I briefly mentioned it, how when you have Mars and Venus come together, it's like I'm putting in hard work towards a craft. And so when we have homecoming and putting hard things towards a craft, it can mean something like, oh, I create my own furniture. I make things from scratch. It's representing things that you might do in the home that you might put effort towards. Could even represent like, I love a good spring cleaning. I love just disposing of the junk and getting rid of things. Like, I love it. And that could be the vibe of this person. But very much you guys have a very strong attraction here. I'm not sure if there's anything else left for me to say. I'm sure I could talk about a million other things. Like I was going to talk about, you know, maybe something to do with their family, friends, and things along the lines of that. But this reading's kind of long. So you know what? Maybe I'll make a little part 2 of this reading. But either way, I'm very happy that you stopped by, pal number 5. This sounds like an actually amazing relationship. You guys have a very strong attraction to each other. I think I've said that like 5 times. But it's true. Like, that was like the first messages the cards wanted to say, right? That, oh, this person's attractive. So that's what came out first. But I do want to say, if you like the reading, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. I love to hear your feedback. Love to hear what you have to say. If this doesn't resonate with you, you know, feel free to choose a new pal, or maybe I'm not the reader for you. Either way, I'm very happy you stopped by. Don't forget that if you want to ask me a question, you know, a little personal question, all you got to do is head over to that live and I will answer that. I go live either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday to make sure that I am just hanging out with you guys and keeping up with the Joneses. If you have any suggestions for readings, you can leave that as a comment below as well. And also I poll, so you can even vote on what type of reading you want. If you're like, oh, I don't have any ideas, but you still want to give your opinion, you could just check out those polls. But that is what I have for you, pile number 5, and I will see you next time. Au revoir.